Hello, Style fans. Welcome to Style Esports. Tonight we have the final season 16 playoffs. Not only are we here in the Ishtal bracket, but this is the last game to season 16. And with a send-off, we got the Glacial Knights up against Catalyst Eclipse. Now, if you're joining us here, Glacial Knights cleared their all the way through. They are in the top half of this bracket, the second seed coming into this bracket here. Glacial Knights looking real good, while Catalyst Eclipse got knocked down around round 10 around a few weeks ago and had to play their way up. We saw them a couple weeks ago up against Stunned Gaming Invictus, where they had a pretty impressive play, and they won their rematch against PSE Dawn. So here we are, best of 5 this evening. This is going to be, we're in here for the long haul. We're ready for a match. We've already got some Worlds meta maybe influencing some of these picks as well. Be interesting to see that. But my name is Shinkari. I'm joined by TruTabagel, and we are ready to get this game underway.
Indeed, we are, Shinkari, and you can see both these teams rounding out their first ban phase. And as you said, a little bit of a World's meta influence there. You can see the J4 being taken off the table. Zaya as well, just being a generally strong blind pick. Everything else seems to be a bit more oriented at comfort, right? You don't want to give over, a Shen main, Shen. You don't want to give a Syndra main, Syndra. All that straightforward. But Catalyst Eclipse doing something that GG didn't do. And locked in Maokai.
Oh, please don't. Please.
No, we get one, right?
Yeah.
So, I think Maokai, still very flexible. Still very strong in the jungle, definitely still viable as a support. Glacial Knights go for Nautilus, something very straightforward. And Mumu, also flexible, but since you see a Nautilus, the Mumu is almost certainly going to be the jungle. Very strong engage comp from Glacial Knights so far.
Yep. Okay. Lots of AoE CC. Now with all these like big tank. I mean, Braum Ash, that is really good. And but I'd like to see something. I'd like to see now. Maybe some damage, right? We got the setup. We've got a big front line. Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. The huge mixed damage that can come out of Kai'Sa right now is so good. She can, her build path through Ginsu's and all these other items that allow her to dip into every single one of her abilities getting upgraded is so incredibly cool, and I can't wait to see if that's what we're going to see this game around with the Kai'Sa pick here. But this is really good, right? You want some high CC to enable Kai'Sa to dive into that back line safely and start wailing on this Ashe here. So really cool pickup here. I'm excited to see where the rest of this goes. We seem to have bot lanes and jungles picks, so we're going to have some solo lanes to go through for the second round of picks here.
Yeah, and as you said, solo lanes are a focus. Glacial Knights so far focusing very much on the mid, Catalyst Eclipse on the other side, focusing towards banning top laners so far with that set. But, going back to what you're talking about, right? Kai'Sa is incredibly versatile champion. She doesn't just have Gwinsu's. Like, there is that lethality build that people go for when you get Umbral Glaive and you go into Duskblade. And as you said, she's very versatile, very flexible. She's kind of like one of those forever champions, like always somewhere in the meta, similar to like an Orianna, like always somewhat viable, never absolute, low tier. Both these teams kind of going for something similar, although Glacial Knights definitely have a super strong engage. Catalyst Eclipse, that's a bit different, right? You have Braum, who's a bit more of a protector. Maokai has engage abilities, but it's not as hard as Nautilus or a Mumu. And the lock for Glacial Knights gonna be Poppy. As a blind, I feel like there are a lot of things that can play reasonably well into that. Whoa.
Yeah.
Kayn being hovered.
I actually don't mind this Kayn lock in here.
So
Kayn
they're flexing Maokai top.
Yeah, I think Kayn is pretty good. That is a pretty good lock in here. Obviously, like I think when your enemy team shows up just a bunch of big strong frontliners, the ability to just kind of move through them is going to be very important for target selection here. Also creates a really good ball delivery system for Orianna as well. Just a lot of very good synergistic stuff so far. I don't think I have any too big complaints about Catalyst Eclipse's team comp here. I think this is pretty good. I think I share the same kind of like um hesitancy I have about the Poppy here because it doesn't it seems like Glacial Knights already has significant enough CC that they don't really need the Poppy, and there aren't enough dashes that you really need to block anything, right? Like it seems like if
Mhm.
Callous Eclipse is going to engage on you, I don't think Twisted Advance is the thing you have to be worried about that you want to block, right? Because it's not blocking. I'm like
And you can't even block Twisted
70% sure you
Advance.
can't block Kane, right? You can't block Kane.
Well, you can block King Q. I believe that counts as a dash, but you
Yeah,
can't
okay,
you
okay.
can't block Twisted Advance because
Yeah.
Maokai goes untargetable while traveling.
Hmm.
And at that point, the only thing you can block is Braum, using Stand Behind Me,
Hmm.
jumping to an ally. That's about it. Like
Sure.
I understand, feeling like Poppy, really solid, like blind, nothing. Like Poppy has kill pressure, against a lot of different enemy top laners,
Hmm.
uh, but is it worth blinding? I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
And like the other thing is like they're already
So
plenty
I see.
tanky. Like you already have a Moon, you already have Nautilus. Poppy being the lock-in for Glacial Knights, I think could be useful if you're going to pop away. Maybe Kane or Maokai in a fight, but outside of that, it doesn't seem like that much of a huge deal. Although it's consistent, I will say, if top lane likes to play Shen, playing Poppy is a similar beat. Top laner that can do a
Yeah.
surprising amount of damage while being very tanky.
Hmm. Yeah, it's. I think that's my only hang up.
Mhm.
And we haven't even gotten to Talia yet, which is another one of those champions that yeah, she does do damage, but she has a lot more utility baked into her kit than she does just raw damage output.
Yeah.
And when I see a team composition like this, and I see already just a solid front line, lots of CC, right? You even threw the Poppy into the mix as well. I need to see some more raw damage numbers here because you've got the setup. You've got the front line. There's nothing that like you haven't already accounted for in the enemy team trying to like ball delivery system via Oriana, or you need to absolutely counter Kane because there's already a lot of tools in your kits to deal with a lot of Catalyst Eclipse has drafted at this kind of last pick stage with Talia that maybe Talia is just a comfort pick and they're just like, yeah, we can get this kind of underway. It's good to go, right? We don't have to worry about this. And it's it's just really good. I just think it's a little awkward to me. I don't think that it's going to be completely unsuccessful. It's just that I would rather see a little bit more damage.
Yeah, I certainly understand that. Like, I think
Mhm.
that,
Never pick a fight you can't win.
although, okay, I will say this, right? When you think about the comp that's built around Kaisa, every single champion is very reasonable at giving Kaisa access to additional plasma stacks. Like, every single one of them can do that. So I think
Mhm.
that's very understandable. The problem with it is that you're putting a lot of eggs into the I want Kaisa to be successful basket.
Right.
um, which means that if Kaisa gets neutralized, who are you going to look to as your main DPS source?
Yeah.
And that's a bit scary if you are Glacial Knights. I think you could argue a similar beat to the side of Catalyst Eclipse. Oriana and Ashe can do really, really well in terms of damage, but they take time to get going. So you're hoping for Kane to feel relevant in that regard and moving forward. But otherwise, neither of them, I will say, are like these big carries that a lot of people feel comfortable playing around. I feel like Catalyst Eclipse, with their composition, you have to make sure that your carries are staying untouched. And you certainly have the tools to do that. You have Braum, right? You have Maokai. But with a comp that's so engage heavy, that's also really scary.
Right, for sure. And that's definitely what we need to keep our eyes on because I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of raw damage output and just like this is the carry of our team. Like this is like if Kaisa does get neutralized, which she very well she very well might, right? Like Braum and Ash is a very good lane to just kind of play rather safe. You don't need to commit super hard. Ash, once she hits about level 5, is going to be hard to kind of just walk at unless you're devoting a whole lot. She can spam volleys and keep people slowed. There's a lot of tools in Braum as well to kind of disengage and walk backwards that, unless you have like attention from a Mumu, this Nautilus is not going to be as effective as probably that they would like, right? So this kind of creates a scenario that, like, hey, Glacial Knights might need to play a lot more aggressive in these kind of levels where a Mumu has to spend a significant portion of his mana in order to just engage in order to get Kaisa here. So it'll be interesting to see this early game because I think I agree with you that, like, hey, this Kaisa needs to excuse me, I'm brain farting really bad. This Kaisa needs to hit the ground running, and this is our carry. We're putting all our eggs into the Kaisa basket. We need to make sure that this Kaisa pops up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really interested to see which of these teams are like how are they going to navigate these fights. Just because like both of them have very clear ideas of what they want to do. For the side of Catalyst Eclipse, your Oriana and your Ashe have to stay relatively untouched versus a whole ton of engage.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the side of Glacial Knights, you just have to keep the Kaisa safe. And obviously, your biggest question mark is Kayn, right? Because if Kayn can hop on top of Kaisa and completely eliminate that threat, it becomes a much harder job. But
Yeah.
hey, this is only game one of a best of 5, so like shouldn't overanalyze things. But both teams definitely want to set the tone here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, do you have a favorite coming into game one here?
Ooh, I always like the underdog. I always
Okay.
like Catalyst. We did get the opportunity to see, them kind of claw their way all the way up here.
Yeah. Okay. Catalyst Eclipse, definitely a good place to start. I think they have a pretty solid team composition here. I think they might be in the little too much of the utility standpoint that their big damage is going to be on Kayn. That's my only problem here. But I think that both these teams have pretty high utility, lots of CC. It'll be interesting to see these 5-on-5 team fights. We are going to take just a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be on the rift of game number 1 of Catalyst Eclipse versus Glacial Knights. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Style Esports. My name is Shinkari. I'm joined by TruTabagel, and here we are on the Rift. Game number 1. On the blue side, Glacial Knights. On the red, the blue side is Catalyst Eclipse. On the red side is Glacial Knights. I do this professionally. It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah.
Here we are. We are in game number 1. We've got a little bit of shenanigans, a little bit of harassment back and forth by both teams here. So we're getting some early warning for the junglers and a little bit of poke damage for the mid laners as well. We're going to give a little bit more time for those predictions to come in before we're ready to before we lock those in. So if you want to throw in some channel points, make sure that you get into that prediction just a little bit. We'll be locking that in just a second. We're ready to get this game underway. Minions have spawned, and those are some junglers hitting some red buffs.
Yeah, I mean, like Kilp rather did get spotted out through that initial ward. Obviously, Briar's Piggies did reveal themselves through it. Also, that's one heck of a name. But otherwise, I think that's fairly standard. I think if you're Contasoro and Big Spicy, you just have to be aware that, hey, Moon is starting red, which means he should be pathing down. So just be aware of that. I think definitely Kaisa and Nautilus should be able to push the lane in a bit better than Ash Braum early on. Otherwise, though, everything looks pretty standard. Nothing too surprising. Other than Kayn going for Ignite, right? Like, no flash on a jungler. Kind of scary. Yes, Kayn is very mobile, but not having flash available can be really, really questionable at times. Top lane though, wow, this is pretty violent for an early top lane.
Yeah, especially for a Maokai as well. I feel like Maokai just doesn't want to look at the enemy champion until like they are ready to go here. So even like level 3, even.
Whoa!
Holy, okay, dang.
Okay. He's getting real low.
Holy, yeah, Big Spicy down here as well. Looking for some fight. Those are some stacks on a Kaisa. Able to get the stun. Kanto looking for a little bit more immediate cleanse, but they're still on the hunt here. Big Spicy might turn around onto Shinkari here.
A lot of trouble.
Taken real low. Kaisa's gonna be picking up the first blood. That's huge. Force a flash out of Kanto here. They're chugging up those potions as they're trying to lick their wounds here. But Helise is gonna be the one picking up first blood here. Gonna beat Zulska to the punch. It's Briar's Piggies coming in from the jungle here, looking for the Poppy. Gonna be looking for the slow, not gonna be able to quite find it. As we get down to the bot lane one more time, Shinkari takes a little bit too much damage, but holy, we got a first blood on our hands.
Yeah, and I understand what Big Spicy and Contasoro were looking for, right? They were trying to get aggressive, trying to force the Kaisa out, especially because Hail Blades had already been popped, so the damage output isn't quite the same. But Kaisa cleanses the Ignite, flashes away, and at that point, Big Spicy had walked just past the minion wave. So Elise just throws out in the Cathian Rain, and all of that damage just goes onto Braum. Yes, it's not that much early, but also, as Braum, you're not as tanky as you think you are this early on. So, very painful for Big Spicy and Contasoro going down to slight disadvantage early on. Top lane another gank coming in, though.
Yeah, Briar's Piggy's looking for it. Going to throw out that steadfast presence and just kind of walk away here. Really showing a lot of attention towards this top lane. Kayn really wants those red orbs if they want to be able to get that red form, which is already kind of seen. If folks can take a look at that left side of that there.
Man.
Oh, no. You hate this.
Oh, dear. Yeah. Guys are just yoinking the scuttle away, and with Kilp already getting the bot lane river scuttle, the bot side scuttle. Briar's Piggies feels pretty bad about that.
Yeah, he even went in for the revenge gank and then got knocked away by the big boulder, so not exactly having a good time.
Kilp's coming in.
Mumu coming in here. The wall slam doesn't work, but there's nowhere for this tree to go, so they're just going to try to get as many CS as they can out of this, as Kilp is going to be the one picking up the kill in the top lane.
Yeah, so far Glacial Knights out to a very strong lead. 1.2k, 5 minutes, not bad at all. And now, Lion Kaiser might be looking for a roam, but gets spotted out.
Yeah, but still, once again, I think you hit the nail on the head. Glacial Knights off to a great start here, and that first blood on Kaisa already paying dividends here. The Noon Quiver is going to be their first back. Holy moly, that's a lot of damage already. This is going to be something to keep our eyes on for sure, because once again, Kaisa does get does get a lot more power spikes than some of these other champions with these item completions. So we'll have to, I think it's Berserker Greaves should be enough attack speed in order to make Kaisa upgrade her W. I
This is very
keep getting
awkward
mixed
for
up
Kane to
about
look for
which one.
something.
Yeah. There we go.
Spiders
Briar's
is
Piggy's
gonna
just
get
coming in.
stunned.
Might be able to get Sycarus here. That's the stun. Taking real low. Force the flash here, but the slows from Ash are pretty good. Might be able to keep going through here. Amumu has shown up. Sycarus is real low. Ho ho. Don't want any of that heat. Is killed. Might look to go back in
Engage.
here. Briar's Piggies might in some trouble. That's
Talia
going to be the
6.
ultimate from Dalia, cutting them off. They might have to use the Umbral Passage here to get it away, but Halise is going to be the one picking up the kill again. 2 for 0 down in the bot lane is now Zulska up in the top lane fighting Ramen Ichiraku one more time. This tree is in a whole lot of trouble, but Zulska is going to take a lot of damage. Run that Sapperling on the back end. They're going to force the trigger of that shield there. Gonna back away. It's just a scuffle back and forth. No kills just yet, but Zulska's got to watch their back. That's a lot of damage from that tree. They're on the dragon.
Yeah, I mean, Ramen Ichiraku has had, the short end of the stick so far in top lane, but Solskjaer must be rather surprised that the damage is getting traded back. You don't see a Maokai in top lane too often, so I'd imagine that a lot of people are not as used to playing against it as they used to be. Mid lane, not too much has happened. Pastor and Lindy Kaiser have just kind of been farming it out. Talia was able to get that roam off towards the bot side, which spelled Kane's death. Bot lane, this is questionable. Halise is somewhat low, right? Just under half HP, but still, you got to be careful. Especially because Kilp is coming down again.
Yeah, I think this is another weird position for the Nautilus to be in here, just because, hey, it might be going just a little too early. Does get the hook. There's the Glacial Augment as well. Stunned up thanks to the Braum passive, but there's the hook, re-engage. There's going to be the second one. Sycarus is going to be the one picking up the kill here. I think you can donate that over as a real Ichiraku with the top lane. Full slammed into the air, knocked back down. Poppy is going to be the one picking up the kill in the top lane.
It's just all over the place. The entirety.
Briar's
Piggies
Piggies
having a rough time.
Looking for themselves here. Don't have that ultimate available. Ignite is ticking, but I don't think that's going to be the one securing the kill this time. They're going to have to back away. Forces the back. Means that they're not going to get a heck of a lot of damage onto this turret here. But still another kill. More gold into this Poppy's pocket here.
And I really like what Glacial Knights has done so far. Look at all that forward vision they've been putting down. There's a little bit of defensive vision to be had on the side of Catalyst Eclipse through their try. But for Glacial Knights, they can see pretty much any route that Kane might be pathing through before coming through terrain with Umbral Passage, so they're very well positioned to get what they want. Whoa, Zolsta's getting low!
No.
Oh my goodness!
Ramen Ichiraku slams them under the turret, locks them up with those turret shots, gonna be able to secure the kill, finally getting some free time up in this turret. Really, really well played by the Maokai.
Yeah, using Bramble Smash to pop Poppy, back under the turret, then making sure the root, the CC is there. I think Poppy ended up tanking, 2-3 turret shots? Considering it's all damage itemization so far, which is what you should be doing, Poppy, very early on. There's not really much to survive. Oh, Big Spicy.
Oh, no. Forced a flash here, but they're still looking for it. Pop that ultimate. Halise is going to be the one securing the kill there. But watch out. Here comes Briar's Piggies in from the side here, looking for Sycarus. Wants those red orbs, but is already taken incredibly low. The damage is good, and it's going to be able to find a second kill. Kanto Soro is going to be able to turn this into 2 for 1, but that's still 2 more kills into the Kaisa's pockets here. That Static Shiv is finished. And this is going to be a big problem continuing forward. That's a whole lot of gold already. Shockwave in the mid lane here. Kaiser's in some trouble. That's going to be Enchanted Crystal Air down in the bot lane as well. There's fights all over the map. It's hard to keep track, but it's going to be a bunch of washes all over. Not really going to get a whole lot here, as that's going to be the Rift Herald popped mid and get some turret gold for themselves and back away.
Yeah, and I would say some slight mistakes considering what Glacial Knights have gotten so far. They've gotten a very solid early lead, but the death in top lane kind of mitigates the problems that Maokai was having early on. Equalizes things out a little bit. Bot lane, though, it continues to be difficult, right? Big Spicy's died 3 times now in 10 minutes. When you consider the first 2 minutes of the game is dead time, that's still quite a bit. And Wait,
Oh, uh-oh, yeah, Sycaris and
Contasoro.
Kilp are here. Contasoro was caught shopping. There's still a Braum passive to proc here, so that's going to be their ticket out of there. That was real close. Good thing Halise was nowhere nearby. Well, we do also have Briar's Piggies near as well.
Yeah, that's no flash on Ash anymore, though. Bot lane has to be that much more aware.
Sycaris
stunned up.
in some trouble. Gonna throw out that depth charge there as Halise is getting dove by Briar's Piggies. Forced to flash. Sycaris is getting away. That's going to be the overcast pass coming through. Can he get away? That's a decent chunk of damage, but Sycaris is already incredibly low. Briar's Piggies is going to be on the receiving end of that Curse of the Sad Mummy getting one, and Halise is looking for more. They can't quite catch up to the Ash, but that's 2 for 1 down the bot lane. As Ramani, Chiraku, and Zulska continue to fight up in this top lane here.
Ooh, bot lane is getting worse and worse for this side of Catalyst Eclipse. It's like Contasoro, it's still staying alive, staying safe, but you're looking across the map or across the rift, and you see this Kai'Sa is already 5-0-2, already has completed Static Shiv, working towards potentially a Nashor's even.
Yeah,
like,
I would argue an Asher's here is probably correct.
The Kai'Sa's DPS is going to be out of this world. Very, very fast. And when your job for Catalyst Eclipse is to neutralize the Kai'Sa, you are making that job so much more difficult, like as all this gold gets funneled into her. Arrow going towards top lane. Nope, doesn't land. The other thing is like this control ward's got an insane value, by the way. Up there in the top side jungle, Briar's Piggy's finally killing it. But gets spotted out, which means that it's just going to be second dragon for Glacial Knights.
Halise might actually be in a little bit of trouble here after that damage from Ash there. Means that they have to kind of stay in this lane here, but it doesn't look like it's going to amount to really a whole lot here, as that's going to be the second dragon picked up by Glacial Knights here. They're looking real strong as Zulska, Ramani, Chiraku. Still, this is a bloodbath up here. This feels like it should be a Fiora versus Jax matchup, but it's Maokai versus Poppy.
Yeah, this is definitely not the matchup that I really expect from top lane nowadays. Top lane always seems to be more like damage focused from a lot of people, but still, this is a lot of damage to be had between both of these top laners, at least early on.
Yeah, that's already a decent chunk of damage.
Yeah.
I love how Ramani Chiraku is playing perfectly underneath the turret right now.
Yeah, you can almost feel that hesitation from the Maokai, though, like looking at the Poppy, being like, oh, she's low. Whoa!
Whoa, hey,
Long
coming
travel.
to downtown, flash away.
Wait, King's on the back side of this. They might still be looking.
Yeah, I mean, that's a down to
Contasoro and Big Spicy, potentially in trouble. You can see the Amumu in the bush. It's like they're going to back away just in time.
Yeah, there's 2 dives happening right now. Briar's Piggies looking for Kaiser, fails to dash over the wall. That's not exactly great, but the Shockwave is going to pull them back in here. Ramani Chiraku is going to be the one picking up the kill up there. That's 1 for 0. That's a pretty good pickup for the for Catalyst Eclipse here, as this game starts to slowly show signs of life here for this team. I mean, that's the best that we can see so far. 3.7k gold down at this stage of the game is not exactly a place you want to be 13 minutes in this game. 14, rather.
Yeah, it's a very unhealthy spot to be in, let's say. Contasoro, Big Spicy. They are aware what Sicarius is doing. Here comes a Mumu.
Yep, there's the depth charge. Bandage toss over the wall. Curse of the Sad Mummy as well. Contasoro is real low, and Halise is going to be the one picking up the kill. Make that a double. It's the double once again for Halise down in this bottom lane here. Absolute savagery is 7-0-2 is now the stat line on this Kai'Sa so far. Holy moly.
Yeah, Shinkari, you were saying some signs of life, but bot lane is still very much dead for this side. Catalyst Eclipse. Highly unfortunate for them. And at this point, you kind of got to feel like, oh god, like Amumu is always down here. There's nothing productive that we're really capable of getting done. Contasoro just got his first death of the game, but still, like, they lost first tower off of it too. And you were talking about like the attention going towards top lane, resulting in Landy Kaiser's death. It does feel all right for this side of Catalyst Eclipse, but what else did they forfeit? They forfeited vision, they forfeited push in mid, although I believe Oriana was able to make sure the lane crashed in, but that also frees up Amumu to just go wherever he wants, because you see 3 members of the enemy team in top.
Yeah. Should be noted that Kaisa has been able to upgrade her E. That's enough attack speed. She's got more than enough, so that's fully upgraded right now, and she's well on her way to upgrading the other two as well. Looks like you got a bit of a pause here, so we're going to go to a Be Right Back screen for just a second. Where's that? Aha. Here we are.
I believe W is actually upgraded too, because
Yeah,
Nashor's...
it's impossible to tell via the... Okay, yeah, it's enough.
Yeah, it's enough.
It's nigh impossible to tell via the spectator, because to me it looks like visually there's like a little yellow bar above the ability. For me, it's like, oh, E is not upgraded, even though Kaisa has 128.9 bonus attack speed and 100 ability power, which is enough for Void Seeker evolution. But for me, it just shows like, oh, it's got halfway. It's like, that's not true. Don't do this to me.
Yeah, and then, like, the other part of that, right? That means that the only thing that's not upgraded yet is Q. That's just 30 AD off. That's not much at all in the grand scheme of things, especially when you consider the fact that this Kaisa is 7-0-2, 15 and a half minutes into the game. Like, it's so hard to navigate a fight against that Kaisa at this point.
Yeah.
Like, 2 full completed items, a whole item ahead of the Ashe. Arrow going through. Oh!
Yeah.
Gets cleansed.
Yep. That's a good swift cleanse there for sure. Is now, again, the red team securing another neutral objective here, going to be the last Rift Herald of the game here. Big Spicy playing forward for their team here. Yep, that's gonna be another Rift Herald for the red team here. And they're gonna continue a lot of this dominance here. This is gonna be another... I assume that this is going to be thrown top lane in order to unlock Poppy, in order to let her come to some of these fights that have been happening around Drake, especially the next one that's spawning up in a minute here. Speaking of fights, here comes Maokai.
Oh, the catch.
Sycris might actually be in some trouble here, popping the locket of the Iron Solari for the clutch shield. So close, but no cigar. They flew too close to the sun, and then they plummeted. And by plummeted, I mean they didn't kill the Nautilus. And, we're still looking for a fight here. Talia, that's the ultimate coming through. Curse of the Sad Mummy as well. Big Spicy taking incredibly low. We got a teleport coming in. They're still looking to fight. That's going to be Humble Trespass onto Elise. That's 2v1 onto the Kaisa. That's going to be the shutdown goal. Going over to Ashe here. That's huge. Kilp is now still in some trouble here. Is Ramani Chiraku. That's going to be the re-engage here. Sycris is coming in from the side here. Lion D Kaiser is the damage, but look at Kanto Sora right here. That's a big shutdown. Goes over to Maokai, though. They're still looking to get away. Depth charge is happening onto Ashe, but she's going to flash away. They're still looking for a fight here. Flashing, going underneath the turret. Zolska looking for more, taking 3 turret shots. Here comes Pastor, flashes in, gets another shutdown for the team.
Goodness.
This is big. They're narrowing the gold lead. They're getting some big shutdowns onto the team as well. Sycris got nowhere left to go. Pastor still trying to get that last bit of damage. Can't quite find it. Zolska didn't find Kanto Sora as well, as Briar's Piggies looking for the re-engage. This might be the continuation of the fight here. Can Briar's Piggies find it? They can't quite get there, so they're just going to back away. What an impressive fight from the blue team here. They're going to be able to pick up some nice, for Catalyst Eclipse, they're going to be able to pick up some nice gold into their pockets, and one of those shutdowns went on to Ashe, and that's pretty big.
Yeah, absolutely. And like the thing is, that's kind of what we were expecting about these fights, right? The moment the Kaisa is no longer present, then things look a lot dicier for the side of Glacial Knights. And yeah, Kaisa isn't just representative of their DPS, also representative of a significant amount of the gold that they've earned. All of this like advantage has been funneled towards the Kaisa. That being said, they're able to redeploy. They get that 3rd dragon. Now they are on Soul Point. They're still very much in control of this game, but obviously with all that gold going into, I believe, Kansasoro's pocket, feels like Catalyst Eclipse can just breathe a little bit more. Now that they've partially closed up that gold lead.
Yeah, let's be clear. They still got a bit of a hill to climb here. There's still 3K gold and some change between these two teams here. They've definitely shown some signs of life here. They're not completely out of this game one just yet, but there's still a bit of a ways to go. They're still behind. They still need to catch up in terms of turrets and maybe dragons as well. But, you know, this is some good progress here. This is some character development. We love to see it.
Talia constantly with the walls. Just trying to bisect. pretty much the entirety of Catalyst Eclipse. But it doesn't look like too much is going to happen. Although you can see now Briars Piggies does have red form on Kane. So
Yeah.
Kane is now a champion.
Yeah, Kane has become champion. Actually, it's Rost.
Oh man. No, you got me. Yeah.
Yeah.
If Cyril gets popped, that should be the top lane tower going down.
Yeah, and now here we go. We got the last outer turret has been destroyed by Glacial Knights here, and or second to last rather. I didn't see the mid turret was still up there, so we still have some one outer turret left for the blue team here. They are staunchly defending it. We do have a bit of an ARAM here as Zulska up in the top lane might be in some trouble. Here comes Rostin from the side. There's the Ignite chicken, the Umbral Trespass as well. Can they be able to get it? There's the hit. There's the slam against the wall. Can they get over? No, they can't. Briars Piggies is going to be the one picking up the kill there as they continue these pushes across the map here. Kill coming in from the side. This turret is looking real low. That's going to be the last outer turret finally going down for the blue team, and the red team securing a 4.2k gold lead.
Yeah, and this is kind of what we were seeing earlier, right? You see more commitment of resources from Catalyst Eclipse towards the top side of the map. Glacial Knights, they immediately take that as an indication like, okay, well, we can walk forward mid, we can walk forward bot, we can get these lanes shoved in. They take that last outer turret, open up the map for themselves quite nicely. Now their lead is, as you said, back towards that 4K, which is slightly healthier than where it was. And I think you can make the argument that the outer turrets for Glacial Knights eventually become standing gold for Catalyst Eclipse to occupy and capitalize on. But as it is, I'm kind of struggling to see a situation in which they can comfortably shovel lane.
Yeah.
They're very much behind on where their vision is getting placed, both offensively and defensively. And as long as the Kaisa and just a bit of the front line is present, it is really hard for them to try to siege up a tower right now.
Yeah, not to mention there isn't really a lane that doesn't have like a solid front line that isn't threatening, right? Like if you try to walk up to either
that's
not
early Baron.
Yeah, I definitely agree with this call for 100%. Halise is so good at taking this Baron. Right, they have so much attack speed. They have so much damage. This is a really good time to take it. Yeah, huge. They don't have, like you said, like this is a compounding factor here. You said blue team doesn't have a whole lot of offensive vision, and this kind of lets the red team just kind of do whatever they want, and the blue team doesn't really have time to respond. But this also is compounded with, hey, the gold lead, the gold difference is the blue team might even see that this is happening and just be like, hey, I guess they just got it. It's theirs.
Yeah, it's just not something that they're set up for.
Yeah.
And yeah, they were able to sweep out the vision on the bot side of their jungle, and it's a really good read from Glacial Knights. It's like, okay, well, we see almost the entire enemy team at bot side. Let's just all go to Baron. There's nothing for us to take. There's not really too much for us to shove. We'll get Baron here, and we'll be ready for Dragon afterwards. That being said, Catalyst Eclipse gets a bit of the inside track, able to set up their initial bits of vision. But still, Glacial Knights, they're somewhat comfortable with that because they're the ones with Baron buff. You can send Talia up towards top lane because she has TP. Catalyst Eclipse, they're the ones who have to play control. And still, that's scary considering that engage power.
Yeah, Sycarus has already taken a decent chunk of damage here, as that's going to be the initiation on a kill here. Taken pretty low. Talia doesn't look like she's teleporting, so this is a 4v5. Big Spicy's going to be the one picking up the kill there. That's already been returned here. Amumu's going to get the return kill here. Goes some Zulsi in from the side here, looking for a little bit more. The teleport from Lion D Kaiser is coming in. They're looking for a little bit more. Going to be able to get Ramen Ichiraku. Here's Big Spicy, still looking really low. Doesn't seem they're going to be able to finish off that kill quite yet. Still looking to keep fighting here. Gonna knock it forward. Big Spicy incredibly low. Still can't quite get it. But look at these HP bars on the red side too. They can't quite keep committing to this. Pastor might be able to find something sneaky, but Halise, they might not have any mana, but they definitely do have the attack speed and the attack damage to keep up with it. That's a big chunk from Orianna though as well. They do have the inside track on the dragon here and have started up. This is Dragon Soul right here. They do have a couple points if they want to have someone teleport in, but it's going to be just quite a bit. Sycarus tries to hook in, but lands onto the wall instead. They dove past the enemy lines here. Kanto Soro dueling Lion D Kaiser here. Might be able to find something, but it's not good enough. They're able to get a kill on the Lion D Kaiser, but they trade Pastor and Kanto Soro back, and the Cloud Soul is in possession of the Glacial Knights.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, compliments to Catalyst Eclipse for kiting that fight as well as they did. I thought with Zolska coming in behind that initial fight, it's like, okay, that's it. That's it for Catalyst Eclipse. The Poppy is in the back line, is just going to toss out ultimate, get a multi-person knockup. That's not quite what happened. Poppy kind of walked through the enemy team, then ulted and missed. And that gave Contasoro as well as Pastor the room to kite the fight out. Unfortunately, though, Ramani Chiraku doesn't come up in time to be able to TP into the fight, and they try to commit to the contest. They try to deny the soul, doesn't end up working out, and now the entirety of Glacial Knights, they are incredibly fast. Look at how fast Adamume is running.
Yeah, Gilbus looks like he's just trying to leave, and he might just be able to get out. They spent so much. That's going to Enchanted Crystal Arrow as well. Maokai ultimate coming in. That's going to be Shockwave.
Ooh,
They're looking really low. That's a big shield onto Halise here, but it's not going to be enough as Briar's Pickens is going to be able to pick up one. That's two. That's another shutdown. The red team is melting here. They might have gotten the Dragon Soul, but their souls have been reaped by the blue team. Triple kill, 3 for 2. Make that 4. Holy moly, what a turnaround.
Yeah, and the painful thing for this side of Glacial Knights there is that Poppy doesn't quite have TP up yet. It's just coming up just about now. Like, that's really, really annoying. Yes, Poppy was able to push the top lane in, wasn't even able to crack the base open, though. And yeah, sure, Catalyst Eclipse still at a notable disadvantage. Almost 7k, just under, I believe, 6k now. But still, like, that is not a fight that if you are Glacial Knights, that's not a fight you want to give away. Like, even if you have a losing fight, it should be contestable with your lead. But really, they just got blasted because it kind of looked like they were completely disjointed on what they wanted to do, either get out or commit, and they were forced to commit after kind of wanting to walk away from it.
Yeah, I think I agree with that because it seemed like Kilp just didn't want anything to do with it. Is now Ramani Jiraku, whole lot of trouble here. Halise definitely looking for a little bit more here. Oh no! Oh my god!
There's not really much they can do. The tower does go down to the minions, though. Silver lining for Ramani Chiraku's life. But now Zolska pushing towards that bot lane inner turret and does have TP available this time. So Glacial Knights should be more comfortable with how this is looking.
Yeah, and this is definitely... Oh, we got a hook onto Big Spicy here. Knocked him forward. Glacial Fissure comes out. Look for a little bit more here. Here comes Poppy from downtown. Halise is going to be the one securing that one right there as a double knockup onto Big Spicy is going to be collected once again by Halise here. Zolska coming in clutch. Depth charge even better as that's going to be the next inner turret going down. There's only one left here.
The flash!
Here comes Zaya or Talia in from the side here, going to bisect their own team. It doesn't matter because they're just going to take another kill. This might just be the end of the game right here. They're already taking so many turrets. They've got a cannon wave. Are they going to end right here?
And it looks like they're definitely committing for that. Only the Maokai and the Orianna staying alive, and the minions are still staying safe too. First turret is down. Second one doesn't look like it's going to go.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
it was pretty close.
Prompt to exit.
Yeah, it was definitely pretty close to look for that kind of game-ending play right there. I think you take that every day of the week, force them to kind of make
running for the
response to
Baron.
you, but yeah.
Ash isn't up for another 5, and this Baron is melting.
Yeah, Zolska might be in some trouble here. They're going to be able to get it. Zolska might have to pay with it with their life here. Going to try to get away as best they can, but it doesn't look like this Poppy is going to be getting out of here. Enchanted Crystal Arrow. There it goes. Right off the map.
It zooms its way out. But yeah, Catalyst Eclipse, they've found fights, right? And in the fights that they've been able to navigate, in spite of their deficit, like, they're still doing reasonably well. But if it comes to just a straight up, like, brawl, a straight up fight, they start losing, like, very, very fast, especially when this Kaisa remains completely untouched. And in that last fight, at the middle lane inner turret, you kind of saw the thought that was going through Catalyst Eclipse's head, right? You saw Braum and Ori and Kane thinking, okay, well, maybe we can turn this around. Maybe you can wait for Kaisa to walk up. And then Zolk's just comes in flying in the back, slams the cane into the wall, and says, "Nope, your plans are done."
Yeah.
Elder
And
gonna be spawning just under a minute though.
yeah, Ramen Ichiraku once again
Oof.
spotted out by the enemy team. And at these stages of the game, not going to be as advantageous, not going to be as productive going out that far without proper visions. Now there might be another brawl slammed into the wall. Briar's Pig is in trouble, and Curse of the Sad Mummy finds 3. Elise finds 1. Ramen Ichiraku taking incredibly low. That's gonna be Elise finding 2 here. They're looking for more. That's gonna be this Talia ultimate walling off the blue team from trying to escape as Sicarus picks up the 3rd kill of this fight. I was going to say they were probably looking for Elder, but they might be looking to just end the game one more time here.
And this is part of why it's like really devastating to play against the Nautilus, because even if Contasoro positions perfectly, Nautilus is just going to cast Depth Charge and
Yeah.
goodbye.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nautilus is just going to cast Depth Charge, and you can't cleanse off Nautilus ultimate. Like, you just have to eat it, and it runs through your entire team. It's worked incredibly well, and honestly, with the exception of a couple of fights here and there, which I think was more indicative of Catalyst Eclipse playing well,
Mm-hmm.
Glacial Knights had a very clean game.
Yes. I'd agree with that. I think there were a couple slip ups here and there, but for the most part, like 90% clean game. I definitely agree with that. Right? Like this was a game that like I think signs of life was kind of like the term we threw out back and forth with regards to Catalyst Eclipse. They're not playing ostensibly poorly, I'd say. There's no like but even when they're behind, they're still showing like, hey, we're still in this. We still have like some avenue back into this, right? It's grasping at straws, but they're still like flexing their hands. You know, they're still like going out and reaching for it and not just rolling over and showing their belly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's never what you want to see in a series. Um, Obviously, it's just the first game here, and I think the Catalyst Eclipse has it in them to bounce back. But like the biggest and most glaring error is that you cannot fall to that early game deficit. Like obviously, I think everyone who's played League of Legends has seen comebacks before, but when you're talking about Kaisa, this champion that scales with her upgrades and with her
Yeah.
items, giving a Kaisa that much gold in lane is completely unacceptable.
Yeah.
Uh, because if you even make that gold just a little bit more even in some of those fights, I think Catalyst Eclipse has a very strong argument to be competitive. But
Mm-hmm.
because Kaisa is just so fed, and that full engage comp enables her so hard,
Yeah.
it's very difficult for Catalyst Eclipse. So heading back to the drawing board for game number 2, uh, if you're gonna let the Kaisa through, um, just really have to be aware of how you're gonna position and
Yeah.
what fights you're gonna take, and track the jungler. Oh my gosh, track the jungler, please.
Yeah, and that was another thing that we wanted to talk about too. But this is a best of 5 tonight. If we spent our time talking about every single thing that went wrong in game 1, we'd be here for so long. We're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna be in picks and bans of game number 2 of Catalyst Eclipse versus Glacial Knights. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this. Hello, Style fans. Welcome back to tonight's featured match. My name is Shinkari. I'm joined here by TruTabagel, and here we are in Picks and Bans, game number 2, Glacial Knight versus Catalyst Eclipse. If you're joining us for the first time, Glacial Knights had a spectacular game 1, a very methodic game, back from beginning to end. They're looking really strong coming out the gate here. We are looking to get things ready underway for game number 1 already, or game number 2 rather, is already. We have a lock-in for Zaya, which is a pretty stark difference from the Kaisa that we saw the previous game.
Yeah, and I think that's fine for Glacial Knights. It's not something as though like, oh well, we just don't want to run a Kaisa comp again. In game number 1, Catalyst Eclipse banned away the Zaya. They banned Shen Zaya J4. This time around, Catalyst Eclipse said, okay, we don't want to give you the Nautilus anymore. We don't want you to have access to, long range engage plus depth charge. So we'll ban the Knot. So that somewhat neutralizes the whole like Kaisa Nautilus deal. But Glacial Knights, I think they're still happy to get the Zaya, still very much blind pickable, and can still scale it really well towards that late game. But also on the side of that, they end up locking in Rakan, which is a very nice pairing. The other part of it is that their own ban strategy, they haven't adjusted it. They're, fine. They're very happy with how game 1 went. Yeah, sure, there were some mistakes here and there, but for the most part, Glacial Knights came away pretty clean. Catalyst Eclipse, this is kind of looking also like a run back, which I'm not sure about. Okay, there's a difference. There's
Yeah. I mean, it does put a little bit more proactivity in the support role in terms of initiation. I think that was really, I don't want to say a problem, but it does mean that if they want to have a little bit more of a proactive lock-in with the proactive initiation instead of Braum. Braum is a lot more reactive, in my opinion. He definitely, it's not like he can't initiate, but Glacial Fissure is a lot better when someone is coming at you or someone is really close to you, and it is when someone's like walking away or you're trying to start a fight, right? So it's very slow moving, so it's very good for disengage, passable for initiation. So Rel in this scenario does create a very good proactive initiation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the thing that you have to be scared about as well is just engaging at the wrong time, right? Because if you throw yourself in and your team isn't quite ready, or it's just not a great moment, then you just served yourself up for the entire enemy team. There's no real way you can get out of that. Meanwhile, you look at something like a Rakan who can dash in, run all over the place for a second or two, and then dash his way out. Glacial Knights, though, they are making an adjustment to what they had before. This time, their mid lane lock-in going to be the Swain as opposed to the Talia, and they go for Mundo over the Poppy.
I think that's an interesting choice. Not exactly like. I think it's a pretty good lock-in. I think like if you use Poppy here, right, it's to stop the Rel and everything and whatever Catalyst looks to. Oh my god! Could you imagine?
Doing that.
Oh no, they're doing it. They're pogging out with the dog out. Susan has been locked in. Nasus is here.
Okay,
after a million years.
So like, okay, you think like this has got to be about the power of Wither, right? Because Dr. Mundo loses access to his passive in lane because you're never gonna have to go collect the canister. Wither makes it very hard for Mundo to navigate at all, and Wither also makes Zaya feel horrible.
Yes. Correct.
Nasus on his own has one of the strongest abilities in the game, I think. Right? You have an attack speed cripple that mounts up over time in addition to a devastating slow. That being said, Nasus is also vulnerable in his own way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild.
He's got one trick. He's gonna walk at you and press Q, and hopefully he can get to you. Hopefully you are the target that he has pressed Q on, that he wants to press Q, that he's pressed W on. Like it's very much a very linear kind of line of play, and it's like when Nasus is locked in, you already know what's happening, right? Nasus is going to farm Q stacks as much as he can, and then come late game going to be a hyper carry, right? That's
Yeah.
kind of like the thought process here. Now there is a really goofy build that you could do with Nasus that that has been floating around TikTok of this one guy who's just like, I'm gonna build lethality on Nasus, get a bunch of stacks, and then start slamming people for gigantic amounts of their HP. Now, do I think that's funny? Yes. Do I think it's playable in this specific game? Probably not. I think
I
it's
mean,
a very selfish build and leaves you very open to just getting destroyed by Glacial.
Is this what people call strategy?
it's a feast or famine sort of mentality, right? If you go for full lethality Nasus, right? Because either you find that early lead and no one can really deal with you,
Yeah.
or you fall behind early and your team is like pinging your build, which they can't do now.
Yeah.
But,
because someone pinged a rioter like a million times when they were playing Karthus in their game, and then that same rioter was like, I'm removing this from the game. Which honestly, good for them. But at the same time, like, come on, man, like, you don't be toxic to a rioter. It's like it's like misbehaving while your mom is watching.
yeah. Or like making eye contact with a police officer as you put your mask on and go into the bank. But yeah, I mean, like, obviously we're kind of focusing on this Nasus, which I think is very much understandable. Nasus not a pick that you see in 5v5 play very often, if at all. Very significant split pushing threat, as we were talking about. You stack up your siphoning strike and you can kind of just nuke a squishier target, and if all else fails, you have Wither that always makes you somewhat relevant.
Yeah.
The other thing I do want to talk about here, though, is the Swain for Lion D. Kaiser. That's a really big departure from the Talia. But once again, you can kind of see this thought that Glacial Knights are putting towards their composition of, we want a wall of meat.
Yes.
We have Dr. Mundo, we have Mumu, we have Swain. If we get on top of you, we are sticking in this fight and giving Zaya and Rakan time to navigate. Obviously, Rakan time to CC and shield, but Zaya should be able to just have as much time as possible to get those auto attacks out.
Yeah, and I think the Swain pick is actually very good because of how Catalyst Eclipse has basically drafted their comp so far. Is they kind of want a tightly packed comp too. Ashe is relatively short range when she starts autoing. Orianna wants to stay as close to the ball as possible so that she can continue to manipulate it around. But even then, like Maokai, Nasus, Rel, that's 3 melee champions and 1 medium ranged AD carry, and then like a rather short range mage as well. So like even if Rel gets off a huge magnet storm, right? If Swain presses R at any point during that time, then we're in some trouble, right? Because the entire enemy team needs to leave because that Rel is gone. Like, rest in peace. And Swain is just going to be able to get free ultimate ticks off of that, right? And not to mention that, like, if you're going really beefy, Swain loves that too. Swain wants a really long fight. He loves building like Leandri's demonic visage or demonic embrace rather, right?
Yeah.
And then just like, I'm just gonna stand in the middle of all of your meatballs and slowly suck away their life. And that's gonna be what's gonna happen in some of these team fights here. I think the Swain pick, even was it 4th pick, round 2, pick 1 for Glacial Knights, really, really smart pick.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly like that as well. As you were saying, it's a very short range composition that Catalyst Eclipse have drafted for themselves. You talked about the Demonic Embrace plus the Leandries that Swain can have to shred through those targets. But the other part of it is, Swain picks up, let's say, a Roa. And that in your front line and your mid-range mage or mid-range AD, they realize, okay, this is not exactly a fight that we can take. You can't disengage anymore. Your entire team is probably being slowed, if not at least 3 members. So you're probably taking a pretty significant loss if Swain is able to just stay alive. And obviously, the champion's very well enabled to do so because Demonic Ascension is just permanent as long as it's hitting a champion. So I do like what Glacial Knights have drafted for themselves. But once again, very straightforward composition. like very clear idea of what they want to do. I'm interested to see what the Nasus has done, but I think after seeing what we saw in game number 1, Glacial Knights have a very clear, defined game plan for game number 2.
Yeah. I think if Catalyst Eclipse, especially this Nasus, wants to be successful, I wonder if there's going to be an angle where this Nasus early builds an Executioner's Calling, or even like a Bramble Vest that just says, "Hey Mundo, if you hit me, I'm just going to start wailing on you, and there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it. You're not going to proc your passive. You're not going to heal. I'm just going to wail on
Yeah.
you." All right.
Yeah, I mean, like final notes. I think the other thing that Catalyst Eclipse just has to keep in mind is don't fall behind early. You know, don't just keep walking up into bad situations.
Yeah. That is a pretty good assumption here, as we are going to take just a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be on the other side of that spectator delay. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back, Style fans. We are on the Rift. Game number 2, Glacial Knights versus Catalyst Eclipse.
Oh
Glacial Knights is
no.
on the blue side, and they're ready to get a level 1 started. Ramani Chiraku popping Ghost. Oh, yeah, he does not want to give up this first blood here immediately out of there. They're just going to get a ward on the red side here. Going to continue that line of aggressive warding here. I'm going to start this game because that's a pretty big summoner to get off the bat already. We're already off to an interesting start. My name's Shinkari. I'm joined by TruTabagel. You ready to get this game underway?
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, Ramani Chiraku burning Ghost at about the 50-second mark. So that'll be up, around the 4-minute point or
Yep.
so. But yeah, it doesn't feel great to just have to burn your summoner there. And I think that's a good choice from Glacial Knights. Recognizing, hey, Nasus doesn't have Flash. The only mobility spell that Nasus will have is Ghost. So if we can force that out, then great. Or we just get First Blood on him. Good
Yep.
either way. The response from Prize Piggies was to just get the ward down on the red buff. Obviously, it's a Moo, so almost certainly going to start blue, so both junglers starting towards that top side, looking to path down. Nothing too surprising otherwise for both of these teams.
Yep, rather quiet start so far, especially considering to the last one, but okay, I say that and Zulska has wasted no time. Zulska playing Poppy before, and the same as Mundo. The first verse, same as the third verse, same as the first.
Yeah. Oh, nice little pullback for Lion D Kaiser there in the mid lane. But yeah, this is something that Mundo is well enabled to do, right? With your cleaver, I guess in this case it's your suitcase, but you're very well enabled to get a lot of harass down early. Lion D Kaiser landing another pull, which is really good. Get that health stacking up. But yeah, Mundo can just walk up. Mundo doesn't really care. There's the Wither.
Yep. Grass grows, birds fly, trees, and brother, I hurt people. Bonk.
Yeah, and I think the thing that you can see here though for Zulska, right, is just walking into the middle of the minion wave early and getting all that harass down is all well and good. But you have to also keep in mind Nasus is a champion with a healing passive, right? All that passive lifesteal, but also those minions kind of wailed on the Mundo. Ramani Chiraku falling to not insignificant disadvantage as far as that wave can be concerned, but still, a bit healthy with the Doran's shield as well as that additional pot. So as long as he can grab up some of the CS under tower, still okay. I see him miss one, unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean, if everything's to be certain, like Ramani Chiraku might be down on CS, but in terms of like the resources game right now, Ramani Chiraku able to hold on as well as they could, considering all this harassment, and they're healing up with their passive and with their thing as well.
Okay,
wait a minute. Oh, immediate flash by Kanto Soro here. Real good job going to avoid that knockup by Sicarus there. As once again, Ramani Chiraku up in this top lane, still taking a whole lot of harassment. I was gonna say, with regards to everything, having that mastery and the passive and still the health pod available might be in a bad spot. Not too bad as no Sicarus. I'm gonna use that W and flash dash away. So equal trade of those, or mostly equal trade of those summoner spells down to the bottom lane there. Sicarus still holding on to their their ignite here, while Kanto Soro has none left in the pocket for them.
Oh, Zulska eating a lot of damage.
Yeah, there's whole trouble up there. Ramani Chiraku, there's the ghost they were waiting for. They're trying to get the last bit of damage, but Ramani Chiraku is going to be the one picking up the kill in the top lane this time. This Nasus is off to a pretty good start for themselves.
Yeah, that's a nice plus 12 for that Nasus, getting that first blood. You can see the immediate response from Zulska, though, right? Okay, Nasus has a healing passive. Gotta get Bramble. Gotta make sure that's neutralized. Though Pastor might be in a bit of trouble. They're both out of mana, though.
Yeah, look for a kill on the Pastor on the backswing, though. But popping Ghost immediately means that they're going to be able to get out of dodge. Here's Kilt showing up into the top lane. Ramani Chiraku forced to pop the ultimate here. Didn't go back. Didn't cast in that first blood here. They might be in some trouble. As Zulsa looking for more. Going to be able to find it. And that's going to be a kill up in the top lane. As we cast our eyes down to the bottom lane here. Big Spice is still looking for Halise. Forced to pop the cleanse and the heal here. To be able to finally get away. But those are two big summoner spells spent by the AD carry of Glacial Knights.
Yeah, I mean, that's also similar to what Kanto Soro had to deal with. Earlier, forced to, cleanse flash pretty much at the same time. Though, Lisa's, I think all right with how things are. You also are aware that Ash doesn't have any summoners as well, so Kantasoro does have to be careful. But otherwise, things are okay for both of these teams. Obviously, you can see here that Gallus Eclipse at a slight disadvantage. Looks like, mainly through farm more than anything else.
Yeah.
But still, this is a lot better than their last game. So they're happy with how things are going.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good start for them so far. There's technically a gold lead, but like there really isn't,
Yeah,
300 gold
it's
is
minor.
yeah, it's nothing to really write home about here, but this is still a significantly better start for Catalyst Eclipse in game number 2 here than in game number 1, so
Mhm.
definitely a good spot for them right here.
Yeah, the game is not getting out of control. They're still able to get things that they want past. They're in a
Ooh.
bit of trouble.
Yeah, Kaiser popping the ultimate here, getting a bunch of damage on the Pastor here. Might be able to find the kill here if they're able to throw out another claw, but can't quite get as the best of the Rel and Maokai come up to the top, to the mid lane here. Kaiser still comfortable, just kind of sitting here. They're not doing enough damage to him that they really want to, but they're going to be able to find Pastor. Here comes Kantasora. The actual damage has shown up. Kaiser is just doing a good job of just healing up as much as they can here. They're just living inside of all of this. Here comes kill. No way they get a kill. Oh my god. Kaiser is still
Oh my goodness!
He's untouchable! Holy moly! I can't believe that just happened! 2 kills for the Swain and 3 kills for the team in total. Holy moly! Swain's gonna get more. Swain's gonna get more gold. I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
We were just talking about how Catalyst Eclipse, they're this is much more controlled for them, right? They seem much more stable, and then with just no damage to their names whatsoever, they fully commit to try to kill this Swain with Rel, with Maokai, and yes, Oriana is there too, but Oriana doesn't have much left in the tank. She's at 200 HP, tries to walk forward. Swain says, "Okay, well, I have enough mana for Never Move, because my ultimate only has that single time mana cost, and as long as you guys are walking on me, it stays on." And oh my goodness, Swain just guzzling down all the health possible.
Yeah.
And they get the dragon. And Swain also, casts W towards top lane, gets one more assist out of it. Oh man, you want to talk about catastrophic plays.
Yeah.
Oh, that's devastating.
And this is kind of what we were talking about in Champ Select, that this Swain is really well positioned against that team. Like you said, Maokai and Rel, while good setup in this early game, don't really have the damage in order to threaten Swain enough. That's going to be a problem. As now Kaiser looking for Big Piggy. Briar's Piggy's here, pops the ultimate one more time. There's the big bird form, going to knock him into the air with the thanks of Shinkari, who's going to be able to pick up the kill them for themselves. As Kaiser still looking for a little bit more. Can't find Pastor, though. Going to throw out some shotgun fingers and call it a day. That's still 1 kill going over to the blue team once again.
Yeah, I mean, the other, this recon, right? Scarius came in at the right moment to make sure that Swain definitely stayed alive, also with the CC. With the Moo, speaking of which, up in top lane.
Yeah, that's going to be Zulska looking for Ramani Taraka. Doesn't want to stay underneath the turret for too long here. And, well, yeah, they're just going to back away. They've got Rift Herald spawning too. This, I don't think it's going to be taking the first turret, but they'll definitely get pretty close as Kilp dives onto Ramani Chiraku here, pushed underneath the turret, as they are just ignoring Briar's Piggies right now. They're just continuing to go forward. Briar's Piggies taking incredibly low. Zolska looking for the kill, but that's going to be the Shockwave picking up the kill into a Moo here. It's 1-for-1. Zolska's in some trouble. Going to pick up them passive there. Going to heal a little bit more. But that's a bunch of burst damage by Maokai, but Zolska's going to be able to find it. Here comes the sapling, but Oriana's going to be able to pick up the kill before then. Shut down for the Oriana here. They're going to be able to stop them from taking that turret, but a lot of plates were taken by the blue team here, but traded back for some kills in their favor. But that's still a decent gold lead now in the favor of the blue team here. 4.2k gold. Pretty good place to start.
Yeah, I mean, now we're back to a very similar spot to where we were in game number 1, except this time the gold's a little bit more spread out between the lanes, right? Rakan has 2 kills to his name. Zaya still in the donut shop. But, right, solo lanes this time for this side. Glacial Knights, very, very strong, right?
Yep.
Mundo, floor 2-0, has that completed Heartsteel now, which means he's more than happy to just walk on Nasus, get a free Heartsteel proc every 30 seconds or so. And obviously, this Swain is a complete menace. No one can walk on the Swain now.
Yeah. And not to mention that, like, even after that very long engagement there's no grievous wounds built by the red team right now. Normally, you can just kind of wait to pay the 800 gold tax. But this Swain is real big right now, not to mention this Mundo is as well. And these are two characters kind of categorized by self-healing. And no one seems to be responding to that. I know the 800 gold tax is a lot, but you can't just ignore them at this point, right? You kind of have to take the hit to your build path, be like, hey, these two champions are strong. We need to cut at their healing because that's what they're best at.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like there should be tower up in top lane here.
Yep, first brick.
Nichiraku walks away, makes sure the Heartsteel the proc doesn't go through as well. But overall, this is just a very difficult spot to be in. I do have to say, Pastor, you can see there when you're able to just stay away from the Swain, you can kind of whittle him down over time, but you have to be very metered out. You can't get hit by a never move, because then Swain is more than happy to just keep going. But yeah, otherwise, you can see Catalyst Eclipse definitely on the back foot. Pretty much in every single lane, they're playing backwards now.
Yeah. This is, it's not exactly ideal here, so it's going to be a little, even Zolska now, like, this is exactly, like, the spot you want to be. Like, there's nothing stopping you from just continuing to shove in this Nasus here, and Lion D. Kaiser has flashes looking for Pastor here. Might have gone a little too far, so not going to be able to get that finished up, but Maokai might be biting off a little bit more than they can chew here. Going to force Lion D. Kaiser to go back into their jungle here. Pincer movement has begun to start here. They are looking for this Drac kill. Ooh, whoa! Bandage Charge flash. Curse of the Sad Mummy is going to set up a double kill for the little Yordle there. Is now Big Spicy pulls in the Magnet Storm here. Going to be able to get away. They're still in the vicinity, looking for maybe something cheeky, but Elise is definitely looking for something. They're not going to let them just stand there idly by, but that's going to be the second Drake picked up for this rift. That's the Cloud Drake. Let's see what the soul is for this. It's going to be Chemtech.
I mean, in theory, Chemtech is actually insane for the side of Glacial Knights, right? Because, these champions who want to play around their healing, getting more damage, the lower health they get. Also, Chemtech stacks just give you more healing and shielding power, so that's great for them. The other side of it, not as powerful necessarily for the side of Catalyst Eclipse. Yes, a lot of them have their own healing and shielding. I also just don't think they can get those stacks. Here comes a Mumu again.
Yeah, Kelp is down in the bot lane, does not have that Curse of the Sad Mummy. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to get that off anytime soon, but Elise is looking rather low. Ryers is coming in from the side. That's going to be the Enchanted Chrysalaris. Sycaris is going to be stunned up, rooted by the Maokai, knocked away. Sycaris taking incredibly low. Going to dash back in with the W. Elise is going to use that Feather Sword to give it life for just a little bit longer. The damage from this Xayah, don't count them out. The camera might not have been down here, but you still can't stop them. Kanto Soro slowed up, looking for a cheeky kill over the wall, but not going to be able to find it. This Pastor looking for, going to be able to get that kill with the auto now. Kill, there's the Shockwave. They might be able to get it. Goes back in, shut down for Pastor. Kill gets a triple. Pastor gets 3. They're taking real low. Kaiser's coming through. Pastor nowhere to go. Loses the shotgun fingers, pops the arm. Bird form. Caw-caw! Lion D. Kaiser becomes unstoppable, but it's a 3 for 2. 3 for 2 in favor of the red teams. 3 for 3. Triple kill for the Orianna.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's really good to get that gold onto Ori. The truly unfortunate part of that was, so Big Spicy ate a lot of damage at the start. I actually think that was 3. It was 3 for 4 at the end of it all, favoring Glacial Knights, because Big Spicy ducked into a bush, but the last minion auto killed the Rel. So I do believe that's a 3 for 4 at the end of that fight. And obviously, great that Ori gets a triple, but Swain gets the cleanup, also the bounty in addition to it. Yes, both of these mid laners are powerful and are scary in their own rights, but this Swain is getting scarier and scarier, especially because you stack up the health. as you get those never move procs and also land. What is it? Vision of Empire, yeah. So it gets harder and harder to kill Swain, especially now that he also has his meat buddy,
His meat buddy, his meatball buddy.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a plate of spaghetti with only one meatball on it? I don't think so.
I mean, there are those places that just do the one huge meatball that it's not that great.
That stinks. No way.
Yeah.
I don't want one huge. I want a bunch of little ones.
Yeah.
I would rather have a bunch of little ones.
I think most people would, honestly. Oh,
IKEA got it right. Oh, that's a Maokai ultimate down here. They're still looking for the tree. This is a bit of an odd extended fight here as Halise has found Briar's Piggies here trying to get away. They're still looking for more. Doesn't land the root, but still on the hunt. That's going to be the improved sweeper plant. Still looking for it. Blast Cone. Here's Kilp, though. Bandage Toss doesn't quite land, but they're still going to get it. There's the smite. There's the second Bandage Toss. There's Halise picking up the kill onto Briar's Piggies, as we are going to get yet another kill for the blue team here.
Yeah, Briar's Piggies is best to, lead a merry chase, but unfortunately you just can't get out in that sort of situation. Otherwise, though, the entirety of Callous Eclipse, it looks like they just don't have anything that they can functionally play through at the moment. Like, yes, Orianna is relevant, but pretty much everyone else isn't.
Yeah.
And even with Orianna being as relevant as she is, even past her being strong like that, no one can really keep the Ori truly safe. If the Swain decides, like, okay, now's the time to go, especially with a Mumu being present and able to abuse that, mid-range to short-range nature of Ori. It's, once again, extremely difficult for Callous Eclipse to orient themselves to be successful.
Yeah, Zolska getting 2v1'd up in the top lane here. He's going to look over to Pastor. Holy moly, that hard steel damage is real good. It's already taking about half HP right here. They might be looking for more. Shockwave is going to pull him back in. I don't think he's got anywhere to go, but it looks like he's going to try to take down Briar's Piggies on the way out. Here comes Rel over the wall. Big Spicy looking for a piece of this.
He's
going to pop that ultimate. He's healing. He's out of there. He's long gone. I don't think you're going to be able to catch up to this Mundo. He's got meetings. He's got important business to do. He's out of it.
And yeah, just to highlight, the fact that Zolska knew they're safe, right? Like, didn't even burn Flash. Just able to walk it all out with that ultimate. Lion D. Kaiser, though, might be in a bit of trouble.
Yep, Enchanted Crystal Arrow comes out. He's going to turn into that bird form. He's looking for the Ash right now. So much burst damage already. He's going to pull him back in, but that's going to be a big shutdown for Kanto Soro. That's going to be a real good pickup right there. But take a look at where the rest of the blue team is. Hey, you can go ahead and kill our mid lane all you want. We're going to pick up this Chemtech Drake, put us on Soul Point. It's a real big pickup for them there. They are about 7K and some change gold lead in for themselves right now. They are fine with just one swing going.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game is actually more dominant for Glacial Knights than game number 1 was. You can see their gold lead is just under 8K at this point. It's almost a 20-minute mark. As you said, like, that's after 850 gold shutdown going into Kantasoro's pocket. And yes, like, this time around, Kantasoro isn't as worried about, Halise with this Xayah here, but Lion D. Kaiser almost traded back in that 1v2. Like, I think if he gets the pull back in and is able to cast Demon Flare, the Ash just dies.
Yeah.
Especially when you see that there is a stopwatch in the Swain's inventory now. Like, maybe half a second more, Swain actually turns that.
Yeah. I think I agree with that for sure. Maybe this game has progressed a lot more from the last time I said it, and maybe I'm a person that overvalues this stat, right? But I still don't see any grievous wounds on the red team. Maybe I just overvalue it. Maybe I just overvalue it, right? And every single time I talk about, like, hey, pay the 800 gold tax, it seems like teams don't do it and they're just perfectly fine. So maybe I'm the problem. But it still seems like, hey, they've got healing with Rakan, they got healing and shielding with Rakan, they're getting more healing and shielding thanks to the dragon, and they've got a Mundo and a Swain. This seems like an easy slam dunk. We're gonna get at least one grievous wounds item and then be able to duel these a lot better, especially a Swain who's really far ahead. It's still yet to get bought.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like, somebody has to pay that tax, so to speak. It doesn't ever feel good, as you said, but letting all that healing go through is also just not viable as a choice.
Right.
I think some people might argue, like, oh, well, it's just League of Damage right now. Like, how important is Grievous Wounds? Well, we saw that exactly, earlier on when Lion D Kaiser just tanked 3 members for, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Now, such as it is, there still aren't any Grievous Wounds presence. The healing is still very significant. There's nothing that Chaos Eclipse can really do. Like, you saw it up earlier in top lane against the Mundo, right? They committed 3 different people. Mundo just pops all able to walk it out. Doesn't have to even burn flash, even though he dropped to like 300 HP at his lowest point.
Yeah. That's about correct, yeah.
And really, the entirety of Glacial Knights, they have the run of the map. They can do what they want because of just how devastatingly tanky and well set up they are for success.
Yeah. As Zolska might pull the ultimate out of... Okay, it's an ultimate for ultimate down here in this bottom lane here. They're fighting 1v1. Ramani Chiraku is going to be taken real low here as Zolska is just going to eat up some of this healing to come back into this fight here. Does have that Grievous Wounds available, but Ramani Chiraku is matching point for point this damage here. Zolska might be in some trouble, has to back away. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to solve it, but look at this. They're taking the opportunity. They're starting up the Baron here. There are still red team members up on this side of the map here. I don't think they'll be able to take it cleanly, especially with Mundo backing right now. That's going to be the Maokai ultimate coming through. This might be their intro. That's going to be Sicarus rooted up right here. That's the immediate pop of the Swain ultimate right here. Take a look at these blue HP bars as Big Spicy already taken a whole lot of damage from Halise here. Swain onto the backside here. They're falling one after another. 2 already down. Ashe immediately retreats into the mid lane here, and that's going to be Baron conceded over to Glacial Knights.
And you see how that fight broke out, right? Big Spicy and Briar's Piggies, they're like, okay, well, let's go in. Let's make our way into this fight. We know that Mundo isn't here yet. The time to start is now. But the problem with that is, once again, you're engaging into this Swain. But then in addition to that, Glacial Knights, they pull off the Baron, and Kilp just completely ignores the engage onto his team and sees past her, instantly goes forward onto the Orianna, and by that time, Contasoro is already pulling the plug, right? Like, this is a lost fight. I'm getting out. Our front line's going to die. And then Zolska's TP completes. Orianna can't get out anymore. Mm-hmm. They lose the Baron. They lose their top lane inner turret. And now, Catalyst Eclipse, they're at a 11k gold deficit, roughly. Mm-hmm. And there really isn't anything they can do. Like, the Ashe's damage isn't relevant. The Orianna's damage is no longer relevant. And it's kind of just a wait to, cross those T's, dot those I's, and put Catalyst Eclipse down to match point.
Yeah, I mean, this is 10k gold is about the time where I say, like, hey, you can come back into this game still. It's not over yet. Oh, wait, here we go. Kaiser going to pop that ultimate immediately go golden here. That's so much healing already. They're going to look for Kaiser here as Big Spicy has already left away, but that's a pretty big resource spent by the blue team here. If there was a way into this fight here, that would be the way to do it. Popping that ultimate and then just walking away. This is going to be soul point already. Red team doesn't look like they have the space in order to contest, so this might be just a Chemtech soul right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that Catalyst Eclipse can find their way into that Dragon side, or the Dragon Pit in that area of the river. Ramani Chiraku, his read is to just push the tower, at least get an objective bounty into his team's pockets. But still, they're 10k gold down. Oh dear, here comes Kilp.
Oh my god, Kilp already going super deep here. That oh my god. Yeah. What turret? I don't even know what they do. I don't know what they do. I'm just going to walk past him here. Zolska might be in some trouble here. They do have a bit of movement speed for themselves. Once again, they're still looking for a Maokai ultimate. Has been popped. There's the Magnet Storm to boot. They've got a lot of CC, but can they stop this Swain? Encanto Sora in some trouble here as Pastor's going to be chased down as well. Big Spicy has just been ignored as Kaiser continues to auto-attack the inhibitor and throw out spells every now and then, as Halise is going to be the one to pick up Briar's Piggies as well. That's nearly a clean sweep of the whole team. Ramani Chiraku is the only member left standing, but can the dog, can the K9 unit guard this last turret here? He's going to pop the ultimate, look to get a little bit of damage here. He's gotten some decent damage on to Kilp here. He's going to be able to find the kill, but he's going to go down just like that as well. Game number 2 goes to Glacial Knights.
Yeah, and that's a sub 30-minute win, just over the 25-minute mark. And very, very dominant. Like they're like last game, you can say that Glacial Knights made some mistakes here and there, and uh, it could have been close, but it wasn't this time around.
Yeah.
It's just this was just a beating. Um,
Yeah.
these last two fights that happened, both like once in the Baron pit and then here in that bot lane around the bot lane inhibitor, each time Catalyst Eclipse, they think, okay, well, maybe we can force something. Maybe we can force an engage. And then they aren't looking for where Mumu and Mundo are.
Yeah.
And so Mumu and Mundo, they're like, okay, you want to engage into our hyper-fed Swain and then Rakan and Zaya who can stay away from you. Go ahead. We'll take that every day of the week via Mumu, the Dr. Mundo. They just go into the back line, kill your only damage dealers, and it's a done deal at that point. You can't
Mhm.
stay alive. You can't do anything.
Yeah, it really is just a tough situation to be in. And I think what's important to note is that, Glacial Catalyst Eclipse has been drafting 5v5 comps for the past 2 games. I don't think they've really gotten a chance to really flex their 5v5 potential in any of these games so far. They might have had maybe one, maybe two fights where they were all as five together. Let's try to get them, right? There's these Oriana comps, Maokai as well, right? If you're gonna have a ball delivery service and like set up for your 80 carry or whatever big damage source, seems like you need to be as five, and they never seem to have that opportunity. It never seems like it really happens.
Yeah, like I think Chaos Eclipse, their draft reflected, what they want to do for their fights, but really it comes down to that initial fight in mid lane where they just
Hmm.
committed so many resources to attempt to kill Swain,
Yeah.
and it did not stick. Like they were unable to kill Swain. Rakan comes in, and Mumu comes in, and so much gold goes into that Swain's pocket, and you really just can't fight at that point. Uh, now, if you are Catalyst Eclipse, you have one more game. Like that's it. Like you have to reverse sweep here if you want to take that title. And right now, Glacial Knights, they are looking comfortable. They're looking on fire, honestly.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, they definitely have the momentum to take this maybe into a game 3, but we are going to take just a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be in picks and bans of game number 3, Glacial Knights versus Catalyst Eclipse. Don't go anywhere. The fun is because there's still more League of Legends action to come. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this. Hello, Style fans. Welcome back. Here we are getting ready for game number 3 in this best of 5 here in the end of Ishmael Bracken, the final match of Season 16 playoffs. My name, of course, is Shinkari. I'm joined by TruTabagel, and here we are, game number 3. If you've missed Glacial Knights have been having strategic, very strong games, 2 games in a row, and they're looking to close it out. While Catalyst Eclipse continues to show signs of life, but not being able to clutch a victory just yet. Will they be able to turn that pulse back on the monitor, or will they flatline? This is going to be the game that shows. Glacial Knights already there. We are in finished up with bans. Picks are ready to go. Catalyst Eclipse finally gets the Jarvan. Let's see if it's good to go. Are you ready?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you were saying, Catalyst Eclipse, they have their backs up against the wall. This is it. They cannot take a single loss from here on out. They will have to reverse sweep. They hope to take that title. Glacial Knights have just been able to execute on their game plan 2 games in a row. They draft compositions that are incredibly straightforward. They with a very clear idea of what they want to do, and they've also found very strong early leads. So this time around, no Amumu for the side of Glacial Knights, and or at least no Amumu yet, because they are able to lock in the Maokai, which is very, very flexible, as we've seen. Catalyst Eclipse, as you said, they do get the Jarvan. It's something that they actually banned away in the first couple of games. And decide to B1 it for themselves here. Here towards a Kaisa, potentially.
Yeah, it looks like this Jarvan first pick was more like a 4th ban than it was like this is something that we absolutely want. Right? They've been banning it all game. They clearly highly value it, so they don't want to give it away. But it is a good pick for the Kaisa as well. I like the Ari lock-in. A lot of strong skirmishing potential off the bat here for Catalyst Eclipse. A bit of a different kind of style of play, but still lends itself to a pretty decent 5v5. They want to continue down that. Glacial Knights, on the other hand, excuse me, finally getting the Maokai to themselves, going to lock in the Rakan one more time for this game number 3, but opting for the Ezreal instead of the Zaya. What do you think about that change?
Ezreal also still a very strong ADC in his own right. Right, still able to stay very safe, flexible build path. Also works well with Rakan. Right, you also it's another high mobility bot lane. It's really hard to force an engage onto Ezreal, just because you have Arcane Shift. Like you think about, okay, well, here's J4 and here's Ari. Ari has a stronger chase down potential, but J4 not quite. Then you also think about Rakan being able to both engage and protect Ezreal, and I think it's very decent. I think the only thing that you have to keep in mind when you do draft Ezreal is that it takes you a little bit to get going. Obviously, you have longer cooldowns very early on, so you're much more item and level reliant, as opposed to let's say not Kaisa, Zaya.
Yeah.
This time around, Zaya was banned.
Mm-hmm.
Glacial Knights, going back to the Swain, I don't hate it, honestly, but this time around, you're playing against Ari. Obviously, Kaisa is a short range AD, but I wouldn't expect Pastor to be positioning as close or really be as in danger on Ari as opposed to Oriana from the previous game.
I would agree with that as well. And locking in the Sylas here, I actually love this. Sylas is a champion that's such a solid counterpick and is so good. I think his Sylas is in the Oriana tier of characters. It's it's looming in the distance, right? No matter what meta it is, you can, if it slots into the team well, or if it's a solid counterpick, you just windmill slam it, right? If the enemy team has a lot of powerful ultimates, you've got someone who's comfortable on Sylas, immediate lock, right? Sylas has 2 great ultimates to pick up here, right? He's got Maokai, he's got got his Nature's Grasp. It's not Twisting Advance. I always get them messed up because it looks like Twisted Gnarled Roots advancing towards the enemy, regardless, right? And we also have Swain Ultimate as well, and there's still room for this last ultimate to be very powerful as well. Pantheon.
We're really seeing some off-meta lock-ins.
Holy.
I believe that's a Pantheon top. I haven't seen that in a second.
It's got to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise it's Pantheon jungle.
Also, this is a Silas top, right?
Yes.
Like,
That's also got to be.
yeah, like I think the one thing that I'm really interested in seeing is for Catalyst Eclipse. Are we going to see, just the traditional Ari build, which obviously is always going to be on the table, but then there's also the whole static Shiv Ari that some people are locking in place of the LeBlanc nerfs. It would be
That's
really
wild.
interesting to see that from Catalyst Eclipse coming into Game 3 here. Because at this point, you kind of feel like, okay, well, might as well just throw something at the wall, hope it sticks. But the other thing I do want to say here is I actually like Alistair quite a bit here, too. Because if Swain tries to actually stick into your front line, Alistair can headbutt the Swain back and give your team a bit of breathing room.
Yes.
That being said, you still have decent engage power, right? You have Pantheon, you have Rakan and Maokai as well. So Glacial Knights, this is probably the most different composition we've seen from them so far, based from the first 2 games. But that's also the same deal for Catalyst Eclipse. They're running a very different composition than what we've seen Game 1 and Game 2. No Ashe, no Orianna. You're playing through, I think, Silas for a lot of your team fights, as you mentioned. So, hopefully for Catalyst Eclipse, this is the draft that turns things around for them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm 100% on board. I like this. I like this composition by Catalyst Eclipse. I personally like Alistar a whole lot because he's very flexible, right? You can either use the combo in order to be like a pseudo or Malphite ultimate for strong engage, and then use your R on the back end of it in order to make sure that you can either leave or just stay in the middle of the fight for as long as possible, right? He's a very potent engage tool to enable this Kaisa. But the other thing is, Alistar, if you want to play super boring Alistar, you totally can, right? You might as well be a Janna with a bigger HP pool half the time when you're playing Alistar, because like if you're the opposing team and you're like, hey, I'm gonna Rakan get in there, or I'm gonna Maokai get in there, Alistar can just play boring and just be like, Q, headbutt you away from my AD carry, right? There's a play style here for this Alistar that if Catalyst wants to play defensive and if they fall behind, this Alistar can play around that very well too. But if they get ahead, this Alistar is another initiation to go with this Jarvan as well, to go with this Ari, right? There's a lot of good setup here, and it's it's like the headbutt pulverized combo has been in the game since forever, and it's still very, very good. And I'm looking forward to see if that's how we're going to see it play this time.
Yeah, and I think honestly, if you're Catalyst Eclipse, the way that you're mentioning, like how do you play Alistair in this game, it actually might be the more preferable between the two, because you already have like strong, straightforward, fast engage from J4, and with that you can combo Silas, you can combo Ari, and you can have successful ganks, you can have successful skirmishes through that. And as far as team fights go, like maybe you can pick out a target with that form of engage, and just keep Alistair around the Kaisa to make sure that the Kaisa stays safe. And I think that's completely relevant as far as Catalyst Eclipse goes. As you said, like Headbutt Pulv has always been around, and Alistair is always going to be a strong initiator, strong diver. But if you're thinking about how does Catalyst Eclipse best navigate fights, keeping someone around for Kaisa to be safer is not a bad idea. Like you have Maokai, you have Rakan, you have Pantheon, these like 3 different champions that can instantly just jump onto a target. 2 of them have targeted CC. Very important to keep your carries alive in that situation.
Yeah, it seems like this is once again, this is a very cohesive idea of a team composition. I just want to see Catalyst Eclipse actually get the opportunity to execute on their idea, right? Because this is something we talked about at the end of game 2, that like Catalyst Eclipse has been drafting these 5v5 big wombo combo kind of comps, but never really getting a team fight where they can actually execute on that idea. And that's mostly because Glacial Knights has been kind of in control of these games most of the time, right? They might even find little skirmishes here and there where they get maybe 1, maybe 2, and then Catalyst Eclipse is like, well, we don't have the way to do our wombo combo, so we don't really have like a way in order to get into these fights half the time. So now they've got the idea, they've got the picks. This is a solid draft, right? We have some good defensive tools against what Glacial Knights have drafted. We have some good offensive tools if we get ahead and can control the pace of the fight. We just need to see that execution now, right? We need to see that happen on the map. We need to see Catalyst Eclipse be better with their warding, better about their macro and communication on that higher level, so that when these things happen, they're ready to go.
Yeah, and I think as far as this game goes, right? Obviously, Glacial Knights they want to seal things away, and I think between the past two games, they've certainly shown that they know how to play with their lead and through their lead. But they do have a bit of breathing room to be a bit more creative with their draft and with what they do, and you can kind of see that reflected with the Ezreal, with the Pantheon, right?
Right.
Like last game, it's like, okay, Catalyst Clips, you had your creative top lane pick. Now we're gonna lock in Pantheon, something you I don't think people have seen for a good bit.
Yeah.
In a similar vein to the Nasus, although Pantheon I think you see a bit more often. But there's also something to be said about having a Silas top lane. Not something you see super duper often. And as far as talking about the specific lane matchup, Pantheon I actually don't hate very much into the Silas, right? Because
Okay.
Silas is someone that really wants to get on top of you, like right in your face. But as long as you use E effectively as Pantheon, you can deny a lot of what Silas wants to get done. The only thing that you can't really stop is Silas getting that self healing down.
Right. And I think it's also important to note that Pantheon can kind of trade while Silas is in the minion wave, right? Like
Hmm.
Pantheon can just be like, "Hey, Silas, like both of us have to be in the minion wave, but if I want to trade with Silas, I just have to throw my spear." Right?
Yeah,
And that can go through minions. Silas has to walk around the minion wave in order to get to me. And by that time I've already pressed my E and I'm already walking backwards, right? Or I've stunned him and I'm walking backwards with my shield up, right? Like there's not a lot that Silas can do once that shield is up from Pantheon, other than like wait for it to be down or like stun him while he's walking away from me. Right. So there's
mm,
going to be some positive trades in Pantheon's favor for a lot of these. And man, it's, uh, the top laner for Glacial Knights have been playing so aggressive in
yeah,
all these games, and now they're on a damaging character, like an actual I'm going to build damage character. So I'm a little frightened.
yeah. I mean, like top lane is not necessarily a lane that a lot of people look to for aggression. But certainly Glacial Knights. I'll also say, for Ramini Chiraku, for Callus Eclipse, they have
Mhm.
both been very scrappy with one another. It's nice to see.
Yep.
Um, that being said, though, like for Glacial Knights, game one and game two, they had two separate things that they were able to completely play through and generate an advantage off of. Last game it was mid, and first game it was AD. This time around, I'm actually kind of curious to see if that's top lane, just because, as you said, that's a
Yeah.
damaged top laner you're finally running here with this
Mhm.
Pantheon, and I genuinely think that Pantheon can play very reasonably into Silas.
Yeah, for sure. But with that, we're going to take just a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be on the rest of game number 3 of Catalyst Eclipse versus Glacial Knights. Don't go anywhere. This could be the last game of the series, and you don't want to miss it. We'll be right back right after this. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Style Esports. My name is Shinkari. I'm joined by TruTabagel, and here we are, game number 3. Glacial Knights is on the red side. Catalyst Eclipse is on the blue. This is game number 3 in a best of 5, and Glacial Knights is already up 2-0. Let's see if they're able to close this one out. Once again, they're starting off the same way they've always had, immediately as a 5-stack, roaming into the enemy jungle, throwing down their vision, and then immediately leaving to this 5-point start. We got some good vision from the blue team as well to start. Let's see if this game is any different from Catalyst Eclipse, because it's do or die moment for him now.
Yeah, I like the fact that Glacial Knights walked forward as 5. Like, yes, you can argue, oh, well, there's no Knight that's lower kill pressure for level 1, but then you think about, okay, well, we have Rakan, we have Pantheon, we have Maokai. There's a lot of opportunity for hard CC if you see an enemy out of position, but in the end, they just get a lot of forward vision down. And both teams. Wait a second. That's an Ahri top.
Yeah, that Ahri's going top lane. Okay.
Okay.
What do you think about this matchup now? Is there anything significantly different about this matchup?
So
on
one hand, we were talking. Okay, well, I was gonna say that this gives Silas the opportunity to just fight evenly against Swain with his own ultimate. But as far as Ahri versus Pantheon goes, right, you can see here that Pastor does have first strike available, so is able to generate that much more damage and just a little bit of gold generation as well. I think the thing that you do have to be aware of is Ahri is just Pantheon getting aggressive and just trying to jump in on you. Although this also just adds a bit more context to seeing a TP on both of those champions there.
Yeah.
We were expecting top lane to be incredibly contentious between Ramani Chiraku and Zolska, but this time around it's going to be Ramen in the mid lane. Although I wonder if this is more of a we're just trying to neutralize the Pantheon being strong as opposed to we want Silas in mid lane.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder how much of that, because I guess maybe this was the counter pick into Swain, right? Because I think you said hey, let's neutralize Swain and he can match him ultimate for ultimate, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's also the advantage of, hey, if Ramani Chiraku is able to get to level 6 before Swain, there might be an avenue in which Silas gets the kill on the Swain early, and Swain just spends a little bit more time without level 6. But holy, that was real close down there by Sycaris there, but he's got this fleet foot, he's got this sweet moves. He's gonna be able to get out of there a-okay. But yeah,
it's also why it's hard to gank Rakan Ezreal. They're just very very mobile. Ezreal does have arcane shift, and Rakan, you have double dash on Battle Dance, so it's very easy to get out. And we were talking earlier about how Rakan just kind of wants to get his knock up and auto Q off, and it's pretty much what Sicarius is able to do. Gets knocked up, sure, but doesn't even get caught.
Now, here we go. We got a stun on the Lord D. Kaiser here. Gonna throw out that Vision of Empire, pull him back in, because here comes Maokai in from the side. Flag and Dragon's gonna land on a Swain here, taken incredibly low. Birds Piggy's forced to flash over the wall. Not gonna follow him through though. Be able to take that flash and back away. That's gonna be the prize for the blue team here on that gank. No first blood just yet. 4 minutes in here, just backing away.
And honestly, though, if you're Catalyst Eclipse, you're really happy about that. You got 3 summoners out. Big Spicy eating a lot of damage, though. Yeah, tons of damage. Holy cow.
Q fadeaway as well. This is going to be a little awkward for these kind of engages later. Big Spicy might have to start chugging those potions there.
Yeah, certainly. Although Alistair is able to stay relatively safe, they're relatively healthy through his own passive with that triumphant roar. But otherwise, things seem pretty even right now. I like how active Briar's Piggies has been with this J4. That's exactly what you want to see. You want to see that aggressive pathing. You want to see forcing ganks out, and it's working really well so far. Both solo laners are down flash. Kilt is out of flash, which actually gives your own team more safety, right?
Yep.
Pantheon has to be less aggressive. Maokai going to be less aggressive, and obviously Swain now more vulnerable. It's exactly what you want to see if you're Catalyst Eclipse here in this game.
Yeah, and this is exactly the space you want to be as Zolska. Oh man, not having a good time laning against this Ahri here. Low on mana, but Definitely not wasting any time looking for it right here. Might have mana for a Q in about a second here, but taking a lot of damage in response. Checking that potion as much as they can. Zulska coming back to farm these waves. Might shove out the wave as much as they can and then leave. You have to be careful. That mana is ticking quickly back up for that Ahri.
Romney Chiraka getting aggressive, even though you're down a level. Pretty nice to see. Pastor. Oh!
Oh, that's big. That's huge. Force a flash. Oh.
I can understand why you're going for that, though, right? Like, Zulska is so low. Like, you just want to force that opportunity. You want to get that first blood. Oh, no, but this Ahri's in trouble.
Oh, yeah. She's going to look for this Pantheon every day of the week here. There's the shield.
Gets
There's
it.
the charm. Gets the first blood. Immediately answered. Down to the bottom lane here. Halsey might be in some trouble here. Big Spicy in the middle of this team. Sikaris is going to force to flash away here. That's going to scare off the rest of the blue team for continuing this fight. But that is a really good start for Pastor here, even though they traded back the kill.
Yeah, obviously the Ahri is able to TP back up, but you can see right now Zulska walking towards the bottom lane. Pantheon does have that ultimate available, so the Starfall might come through. I think that's
down
what's
to the
going to
bottom
happen.
lane
Yeah,
here. Big
Pantheon's
Spicy
coming.
is in some trouble. Big Spicy looking for something. They're trying to get down into this bot lane maybe, but here comes, that's going to be the ultimate from Lion D Kaiser, answered by Ramani Chiraku. They're ticking down. It's not going to save him this time. Ultimates both on either end there. Not going to be able to stop them as Pantheon just disappeared from my map. Where is this guy? There he is.
He's bot lane. He's
bot lane. There he is.
Yeah. Nice to see Ramani Chiraku, using that Silas to the effect that we wanted to, giving Lion D Kaiser a bit of a taste of their own medicine. Unfortunately, and like the problem with that is Swain is like you want to stay in range so you can get your healing off, but now the Silas also wants to stay in range of you, and that does not favor you, Swain, in that situation. Works out really well. Catalyst Eclipse finally have a lead in this series.
Take a look at what Lion D Kaiser just built. Take a look at that.
Hey, that's what you want to see. Especially when you're thinking about Silas, who already has an inherent amount of healing.
Yeah.
Also Ahri, who has healing. Also Alistair,
they said it was crazy. They said it was crazy. They said the 800 gold is not worth it.
They called me a madman.
They hated him for he spoke the truth.
That being said, Lion D Kaiser forced to burn that ghost. Stay alive, stay safe. Flash will be back up relatively soon, though. Pastor looking more and more comfortable as time goes on, though, with this Ahri, having that mana sustain from Lost Chapter. Ooh! Briar's Piggies got canceled!
Yeah, Kilp is in a real good position here. Zulska's in a bad one of the top side, though. Ramani Chiraku is going to be able to trade back and forth on either side of the map here. Rakan's going to swoop in. That's probably a kill stolen, but they're going to be able to secure that anyway, as they're going to secure the Drake. That's the trade here. Kill the top lane for a kill bot and a Drake, which is probably good for Glacial Knights. It's a decent chunk of gold in their pockets, but this is still not a good scenario for this top lane Pantheon, who is down in CS and down in kills and not having a fun time.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like Pantheon probably feeling a bit irrelevant at this point, being 0-2, 11 CS down, the fight breaking down bot lane.
There's the knockback. Big Spicy popping that ultimate there. Unbreakable. Kanto Sora looking for a little bit more here. Not going to be able to find what they're searching for here, so they're just going to back away. So the rest of the red team, once again, going to be a wash in the bot lane.
Now this is a bit of a just funny thing to me, but you can really tell Ramani Chiraku very much in the spirit of a top laner. Still sitting on double ward trinket in his trinket slot. It's not warded either side of the river yet. Might be walking for one now.
Oh, I know, he's doing it right now.
He is. Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, he did it. Let's go. Round of applause. The top laners learning how to ward. That's character development.
Yeah, that's huge. But speaking of huge, top laner coming back into top lane here.
Yeah, Zulska gonna land that stun. Maybe they can get out of here. There's the shield to block a significant amount of damage, but now forced to flash away. Charmed up. That might be the... Okay, there it is. Pastor on the tip of the Q. They're gonna be able to find the kill. 0-3-0 for Zulska right now. Not having a good time. There's Piggy's onto Lion D Kaiser in the mid lane here. Already taking a decent chunk of damage. Forced to back away. But yeah, not looking too good for the Glacial Knights. 10 minutes into this game.
Yeah, and you can also see that Ramani Chiraku took the Pantheon ultimate, should be able to join back into the mid lane in rather short order. Still walking up, though. I believe he's just about in range, and yeah, it's coming soon.
Yep, that's going to be
Big
the
Spicy in
ultimate. Here
trouble.
comes Yep, there's the Pantheon ultimate. Ramani Chiraku's in the middle of it now, but Lion D Kaiser is still healing up. They're going to Cataclysm, keep him locked down because the damage is still good. Lion D Kaiser going to keep them still away from them, keep them at arm's length as we still continue to heal off of this right now. But Ramani Chiraku's burst damage is way too good. That's going to be Maokai going down. Ezreal is here. Can they do anything with now the Ezreal? But I think the blue team is long gone. So it looks like they're just going to back away, making out like bandits, 1-for-0.
Yeah, I mean, that was a lot of combat, a lot of damage thrown around just for only one person to die at the end of it all. But Catalyst Eclipse, they're happy with how this game is going so far. 1.7k gold lead at 11.5 minutes. Not a titanic lead, but a very healthy one at that. And honestly, I think the elephant in the room for Glacial Knights is just this Pantheon feels irrelevant. You're 2 levels down. The Ahri is very safe now with the Everfrost. It's very hard for Pantheon to want to be able to do anything. And also, this isn't even a mid lane Pantheon, right? You can't transition down to bot lane very easily without TP. So, yeah, Pantheon's kind of just stuck in this lane and forced to fall behind like further and further as time goes on. And honestly, Catalyst Eclipse, they're very comfortable.
Yeah, and Catalyst Eclipse is very real. Oh, no. Well, Solskjaer tried their best. But Pastor's going to be able to flex their muscles up in that top lane there. Going to be able to dash around that shield, find the damage, pick up another kill for them as well. 3-1-0 on this Ahri. Catalyst Eclipse, this is the best start they've had all series.
Oh, man. Like, if I'm Zolska, I'm, like, screaming into the void right now.
Yeah.
Like, not to say that, I've never seen Aegis Assault get interrupted, but that feels awful.
Ooh. Elise might be in a little bit of trouble here, able to finally kite everything away. That Guardian Shield is good. There's a W. Is this the re-engage we're looking for? Big Spicy does have that. This Vision of Empire going to kite them a little bit further towards them, but they're going to back away at the end of the day here. So, not going to be able to find a kill this time. It's a wash down in the bot lane. Wards are clearing up, but it looks like this is just jockeying for position, gain some more control over this bottom half of the map as Zulska jumps onto Pastor here, has some decent damage, but here comes Briar's Piggies in from the side here. The turret is no longer going to be able to save you. Flag and drag. Briar's Piggies is big as the quickness down to the bot lane. Here comes Nature's Grasp as well as an immediate cleanse from Kanto Sorba. Can they find Big Spicy? He's so incredibly tanky. Elise is going to be able to find it. Is now Lord Kaiser trying to Lion Kaiser trying to join the fight down there. Vision of Empire comes up, doesn't land the slow. Not going to be able to join his teammates as this is going to be more of a push in the top lane. Shelly is still up there after that second charge. That's so much damage onto that tier 2 turret up in the top lane. And the trade for it in response is not going to be as equal. They're looking to make it so. Kanto Soro,
TP
once
coming
again,
in.
really, really low. They got a TP coming
Ahri,
in.
yeah.
Here comes Ahri. This is going to be a big problem. Here comes Swain from the side, but are they ready to fight this 4v3? Ramani Chiraku comes in. There's the slow from Maokai. That's going to be Nature's Grasp coming through here. Lion D Kaiser might have popped their ultimate a little too soon, and now it's gone. Here comes the re-engage from the blue team. Lion D Kaiser taking incredibly low. They're going to go down. First team fight is casualty here. Is now Zolska is knocked into the air. Going to shield block a lot of this. Looking for Kanto Sora. Going to be able to find it, but they're going to go down in response. The blue team on the back end is still doing so well. Kelp is going to be the next to fall. Halise is trying to kite this out as best they can, but they got nowhere to go. It's the nearly clean sweep 5-for-1. Catalyst Eclipse is alive and thriving. Game number 3 is in their pockets. They pick up the second Drake, and they get a huge team fight win.
Yeah, and honestly, you now see this is going to be a hex map, right? You have all that additional attack speed, all that additional ability haste on the table, especially with the AoE static shiv-esque slow from the soul to be had. But honestly, let's talk about that fight. And initially, it looks pretty good for the side of Glacial Knights. They're pushing in towards that top lane. They'd already killed Big Spicy, but they stay a very long time. They commit a lot of resources for it. It looks like they want to kill the tower. And eventually, well, Pastor's like, okay, well, I'm Ahri. I have this TP up. I can come in for the flank. Comes in to get that flank on 3. Ramani Chiraku comes to pinch around that Tri-Brush. And then from that moment, it's Glacial Knights' like choice of like, what do we do? Do we full disengage this, or do we try to turn the fight? Zolska TP's in on the ward, tries to turn the fight, does get Kantasoro, but the rest of the team is just not healthy enough. They're fighting the mid
Landy
lane here,
Kaiser
though.
popping ultimate here. That is the Swain ultimate available for Silas here, but he activated it second. Goes golden here. Might be able to live for a little bit longer here. Landy Kaiser taking incredibly low, but the burst damage isn't there. That's going to be a shutdown for Maokai here as Briar's Piggies has to run away, but Landy Kaiser still looking for a little bit more here. Not going to be able to find it, but they are looking for this mid lane tower bounty here. Might even be able to get it too. Looking at the mid lane right now. They have the vision. They have the minions that immediately gets removed by the Jarvan there. Is this Ahri is 2 items and completed boots. Holy moly.
You want to know what the difference maker in that fight there is, right? In spite of the fact that how strong Silas is, it's the fact that Lion D. Kaiser has Oblivion Orb.
Yep.
Like, you can see, already over 1,000 healing reduced on that, getting a strong amount of value through so far. Unfortunately, I'm not really sure the Swain can stay safe in this kind of situation.
Yeah, Briar's Piggy's doing a good job of tanking up that turret aggro, allowing Ahri to just dash through the turret side there and just pick up that easy kill onto the bird, man. So that's another kill. 7, 1, and 2. It's definitely really, really scary as we get later into this game.
At least I'm not sure if that's, the end of the fight you wanted there. Ooh, Briar's Poggers.
Both in some trouble.
Or Piggies, rather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, like, for the most part, right, this is J4 doing J4 things, right?
Yep.
A lot of strong early pressure. Obviously, you can see that completed Gore Drinker. Now at Caulfield's Warhammer, so still able to build a little bit of damage at the moment. But really, this is Catalyst Eclipse game to lose right now, right? They have a very healthy lead, something that they've extended, like, to their great benefit. This Pantheon is just, it's like, I hate to, like, sound mean or anything, but it's a stun bot.
Yeah.
Like, Zolska is not relevant in this game. He's worth his stun, and that's like stun on Kaisa and Ahri, and that's it. The rest of the team has to be relevant somehow, and you're probably hoping that Ezreal gets the time to scale up and be, like, very useful in this game.
Yeah.
Everything else is just secondary to that.
Yeah, and it also points out that, like, the big thing carrying Pantheon's damage right now is that lethality, right? It is very strong, and there's not a lot of people on the enemy team building armor. Like, the most amount of armor is built by Alistar right now, which is to be expected, right? There's not a whole lot that you can really do here. Pulverize onto Halise here. Here comes Briar's Piggies in for the side flag and dragon to knock him into the air. That's going to be the exhaust coming down onto Jarvan here. The teleport has completed. Here comes Pantheon, going to use that ultimate right into the river there, but he's going to run right into the whole of the blue team and immediately get deleted. Lion D. Kaiser pops that ultimate, trying to join with the rest of his team, but that's already a huge amount of damage. That's 1 kill for the Swain right now. Looking for Kanto Sora here, who's trying to dash away. They're diving back onto the Swain here, but he's healing up enough that they're going to be able to finish off that kill. Elise coming through, flag and drag, knock up to the air. Elise looking for the damage, going to bash away. Pastor is now legendary, but Halise and Clip are still here. Pastor dives in, going to be able to find the kill. That's a double. Ahri looking for more. Kill gets charmed. There's the damage from Kaisa. Triple kill for the Ahri. 3 for 5. Blue team comes out big one more time. That's the ace.
Considering the spot that initially started out in, I think that wasn't a terrible fight for Glacial Knights. Like, the biggest problem is that Zolska thinks, okay, well, I have the opportunity to, like, bisect and separate the enemy team, cast Grand Starfall straight into the river that you don't have a lot of coverage in. You just know that Lion D. Kaiser is walking there, and then gets instantaneously blown up, right? The Pantheon ultimate, 0 value in this fight. The other unfortunate part of that for Glacial Knights is that I don't think they read that fight properly as it was going on. Because, yes, you see that J4 is low, yes, Ezreal is still alive, and Ahri seems to be running away, but you can see the number of ult charges that Ahri has. Ahri had 3 at pretty much every point in that fight, and that means that Ahri just is waiting for the opportunity to just dash forward, circumnavigate the Rakan, kill the Ezreal, and that's exactly what happened.
Lion D. Kaiser now looking to keep fighting. Does have Jarvan in the range. Teleport coming in from Silas. Looking for it. That's going to be Nature's Grasp coming out here. They're still diving, still trying to fight here. Lion D Kaiser trying to stay inside this ultimate range here. Healing up a whole lot, but he's going to have to leave. He's really, really low. That's going to be Kaisa sniping that kill there. Is killed. Now on the back line here, going to be forced for 1v4 as Briar's Piggies does the same, but he's got the damage to match it. Here comes the Pantheon ultimate. Looking for Halise. Here comes Silas diving through underneath the turret. Gonna be able to find it. It's another ace. 2 in a row. 1 for 5. Catalyst Eclipse comes into this game 3. We're not ready to throw in the towel just yet.
Absolutely, Shinkari. And you can see now that they are an incredibly healthy lead, right? Just under 9K at this point. They own the map. And honestly, like, if you're Glacial Knights, I think you're kind of pondering, like, okay, well, yeah, we got the dragon out of that. It's really not worth to get yourself a second dragon stack in kind of like when you're going to pay for it with your entire team, and you know you're losing even more of the map which you have 0 ownership of. Oh,
Flash
Briar's
tangle
Piggies.
here. Briar's Piggies gonna flag and drag back over to Baron here. Here comes Pastor in from the side, not gonna be able to land their charm just yet. But Kelp spending their flash for a flag and drag from Briar's Piggies is not exactly the trade you were hoping for there. As Pantheon once again returns up to this top lane to return to what they were relegated to.
Yeah, I mean, I like honestly, like, you know, thinking retroactively about this game already, just a bit.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, it's far from over, but I think Zulska really got thrown for a loop, having to play against Ari versus what they probably expected, which was the Silas.
Yeah.
So, obviously, you know, that's very difficult to play as Pantheon, especially because there's not really anything you can viably do against Ari, especially after you fall even a little bit behind.
Yeah.
But that being said, right now, like, if you're Catalyst Eclipse, this is exactly what you need, right? You need your wind in your sails a little bit. You need to have, like, your own dominant win to get yourself out of any sort of, like, negative headspace that you were having.
Mm-hmm.
The other side of that, obviously, is that, you know, now this series might go on that much longer, provided the Catalyst Eclipse takes this game away. And honestly, it's kind of looking like that so far.
Yeah, as now we might get a contest on the Baron here. This Glacial Knights is as 5. Antosora wailing on the Baron here. They're starting to peel off Lion D Kaiser in the front there, but already low half HP. Going to pop that ultimate. Let's see if they're going to be able to live. They go golden. Those are some real low blue HP bars. That's already 1 down. Can they get a second? Ramen Ichiraku is surviving using that Swain ultimate, but they're going to go down now. Lion D Kaiser is still in this fight, gets headbutted out, but that might be the go button for the blue team here, but it's still fine. Lion D Kaiser just does so much damage. Ari is able to clean up a whole lot here, but that's a 4 for 3. Glacial Knights still looking really strong here. They just got to be careful. Pastor is very tricky. Doesn't have that ultimate anymore, but still has a lot of damage. Elise and Zulska are looking rather low. They have to be careful here if they want to get this turret bounty.
And yeah, that's a massive win either way, though, for Glacial Knights. Oh,
they're going
forward
underneath
the
the
tower
turret here. Elise's turret. Okay. All right. Okay. Whew.
Gosh, if you're Ezreal in that situation, you realize you're the one tanking. It's not Pantheon. It's like, oh god. That being said, though, they're able to get the tower, right? Which is another objective bounty, which is great for Glacial Knights. Yep. Like, finding that fight in your favor from that deficit is massive. And a lot of it, as you were saying, is because Lion D Kaiser is just able to do what he wants on this Swain, sits in the middle of the enemy team, is able to effectively heal tank through so much damage. But the other part of that is you also have Leandries. It's also shredding through the enemy team. You also have Oblivion Orb, which is reducing the enemy team's healing, which is great, which is massive. Like, there's huge value out of that Oblivion Orb. And that's kind of what gives them access, because Ramen Ichiraku is not healing nearly as well as the Swain is, in spite of the fact that the Swain has 6 deaths. You know, it was 1, 6, and 8. Granted, you know, almost like over 50 CS more than the Silas, but still, are they sneaking Baron here? No, okay.
They're at least trying. They might be
like
in some trouble here.
Nice double pull.
Yeah. This is a really tough time right now for the red team. I think they're mostly just trying to clear out vision so that if the blue team does go for a dragon here, they can immediately just be like Baron, 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 right, and make that trade, right? Because the red team is actually positioned in a way that they can do it. But right now, what's actually happening is the dragon is being sneaked. Blue team, red team has no eyes on this dragon pit right now, and Briar's
No, they
Piggies
do.
can just, yep, they know what's happening now, but they might be too late to pull the trigger on the Baron, right?
Yeah.
They're going for it. This dragon is dead. It's long done. But this is
Yeah,
Pantheon
no.
going, looking for Brahmin Ichiraka. They got the root. They got the stun. Knock him up. This is a big target. Goes Golden in the middle of 5 members. Might be going down here. Ezreal chases, gets the kill on a killing spree. That's pretty big. They now have a numbers advantage. They could look for this Baron if they want.
Doesn't look like they're going to pull the trigger on that, but we were talking about earlier, like, okay, well, if you are Glacial Knights, what are you going to play around? You hope for Ezreal to farm up, you hope for Ezreal to get kills, and that's exactly what's happened so far, right? Halise is certainly quite scary. You can see that Contasoro has gone for that Umbral Glaive build, so it does add to that utility for the side of Catalyst Eclipse. They're able to clear out a lot of vision pretty quickly with Kai'Sa having that item. But the other side of it is that now Glacial Knights once again has their game plan, and they executed it pretty well in their last fight. Like, keep Ezreal alive. Everyone else is just a meatball to allow Ezreal to free hit. And they actually had a positive fight. The deficit has almost halved. It's down to just over 5k from 8, from 9 even earlier. So it's good for Glacial Knights. They are stalling. They're giving their carries time to scale up, and they're looking for the fights that are, good and proper for them. And the other part is Pastor also doesn't want to die, right? You can see it. Like, Pastor is trying to stay at the edge of these fights, doesn't want to give over a 1k gold shutdown, which means that Glacial Knights, they also have nothing to lose in these fights. They have everything to gain. So as long as they control the map and find their opportunities, it's looking pretty decent for them.
Yep, as once again we see another tango around the Baron here. Ultimate Grand Skyfall about to come back up for the Pantheon here that is available. So that is something to keep our eyes on as this kind of jockeying for position continues. Ward for ward keeps fighting out back and forth. As once again both teams, charm on the kill. It's really tense right now, folks. It's really, really tense. We're on a knife's edge around this Baron pit now. There's the start.
And, like, the thing is, like, Catalyst Eclipse doesn't know that there's still a ward on this.
Yeah.
It's just sitting in the back of pit.
Yeah, that's a pretty good Ezreal ultimate across the Scud here. They're now pinched in the middle. There's the initiation. Headbutt pulverized combo. That's going to be the flag and drag as well. Quickness is going to get a bunch of really good snares here. Here comes Lion D. Kaiser in from the side here, getting a decent chunk of damage. Icarus here, looking to maybe get some more CS, but Pastor, once again, trying to get away. Doesn't want to give up that 1,000 gold shutdown, and it goes to Ezreal. 3 for 1 in favor of Glacial Knights. They've come out of their chrysalis, and now they're ready to go.
Oh, they got the Ezreal
back in. They're going to be able to find the shutdown here. It's 3v2. Big Spicy and Kantosoro trying to save the Baron here. They're going to be able to do it. Keep kiting backwards. They get one more, but there's another shutdown, and it goes to Kilp. This gold lead has now narrowed to 3,000 to 4,000 gold between these two teams, and a huge shutdown just went to Ezreal as well. That was a team fight win for Glacial Knights.
Yeah, it's absolutely massive, because you can also see, right, Halise also now has cleanse back up. No flash for the next fight, but working towards completing that build, getting more and more ability haste in the inventory means that you have so much uptime on Arcane Shift. Like, Pastor's damage is still huge, right? Was actually still almost able to kill Lion D. Kaiser with the pullback from the orb. The other thing, though, is, like, finally, Shinkari, I imagine you're happy about this. Finally, somebody on Catalyst Eclipse has Grievous Wounds. It's Pastor, which is pretty good.
After 1,000,000 years. Where's the show me the Titanic gift? If it's been 80 years.
Yeah, it's been 84 years.
Yep.
Like, if there's someone who's going to get Grievous Wounds, this is not bad, right? Ari has a decent amount of AoE, able to apply it on a variety of different targets here, but it might be too little too late, because it really feels like, as I say, that Kilp gets blasted. Yeah. But it kind of feels like Glacial Knights, they've found, their way to stabilize, and Ezreal's very comfortable now with how things are going. And now, if you're Catalyst Eclipse, it's like, well, Now we have to deal with Swain and his healing. Now we have to deal with Ezreal being very hard to catch. Trying to control the
Yeah.
map around the drag pit, though, get up to that soul point.
Yeah, and it's taken a lot of Zhonya's hourglasses as well, but there's finally armor built on the team as well, and this might be the builds that they need in order to finish the game. Sycaris in some trouble, taking some good burst damage. W is going to be able to get them out of there, but yeah, this is still looking like a game that Glacial Knights could come back from. 5K is a hill to climb. We're still not over it just yet, but they have been showing a lot of good team fights so far. They might actually be trading the soul point for Baron right now, but they have to go right now if they want to pull that trigger.
Yeah, they do get their soul point, which is pretty nice for them. I do want to say Sicarius does have Anathema's chains on this Rakan. I thought it would be bound to the Ahri because you want to make sure that you can get the lockdown, but instead it's bound to Kantasora, which I think is also, a very acceptable target as far as that is concerned. Ramani Chiraku, whoa.
Yeah,
Really
whoa.
deep.
Yeah, I think he kind of underestimated how much damage Police does here as he dives right back in, looking for Sycaris, but he's going to pay with it with his life here, as that's going to be 1-for-1 already. Nature's Grass coming through, going to be able to find the root on the big spicy flag and drag it to the backside here. Cataclysm on the 3 members here. Immediate pause average from Hell says the rest of the team is fighting Pantheon on the backside here. Big Spicy taking incredibly low. He's going to be the next to fall. Lion D. Kaiser looking for more, but he's slowed up. That's going to be the ultimate going down, and this might be the key to re-engage. Pastor dives right back in, looking for Pelson. Not going to be able to find it.
Low.
That's going to be Flag and Drag, going to be able to find the kill right there. These are no members of the red team aren't able to secure anything left here. Their only chance left to do is run, and Pastor's going to find yet another kill as the Heat Seeker Prey Seekers coming through looking for Swain. Not going to be able to find the kill, but that is a 2-for-4 in favor of the blue team here, but they're off of Baron.
Yeah, and if you think about how that fight breaks out, right, it's essentially a 4-for-4, or 4 versus 4, because Sicarius and Ramani Chiraku, they both die at the very start of it all, right? There's no Silas, there's no Rakan, and because there's no, dynamic CC that can dash forward onto the backline, Catalyst Eclipse actually has an easier time navigating that fight, because Briar's Pickies is just says, okay, well, I just need to lock down the front line, and Lion D. Kaiser gets gummed up in that, Halise as well. And then you see Zolska try to come in through the back of it, get blown up instantaneously, and that gives Catalyst Eclipse, that gives the Kaisa and the Ahri room to breathe, room to move around, and it worked out really well for them. Eventually, they're able to get the kill onto that Ezreal. But now Ezreal has, completed the Ravenous Hydra, so that additional AoE scaling up damage, and once again, Baron gets started up by Catalyst Eclipse.
Yeah. That has been started up. The red team here to answer. Teleport coming in from Silas.
Kill does
the
have
bottom
TP,
half of the
or
map
does
here.
have
There's
flash
the
in?
Ezreal ultimate. There's the Maokai as
Oh, he's going
well.
in,
There's
Maokai's
a
going in.
huge quickness. Look at this
Oh,
Swain ultimate
man.
as well. Immediately knocked out. The red team is going to be able to steal it away. That's huge. There's some extra stats to fight this fight right here. Ramani Chiraku taking incredibly low. Ezreal Q fade away. Going to be able to find it here as Lion D. Kaiser still looking for more here. Going to get charmed up, but the target is Pastor. Goes golden the second that they come in. Kantasora going to answer with that as well. Going to make this just as much hard as they can, as that's Hilsa coming through looking for Pastor, looking for more. Can they find the Ahri? Don't chase Fluffy Tail too much. Goes forward, gets the 1,000 gold shutdown one more time. Elsa gets the ace, and holy moly, on a knife says they steal the Baron, get 5 for 2, and they come out big. Glacial Knights, this game's not over yet.
Oh my goodness. And this is all predicated off of the fact that Catalyst Eclipse, they start it up and then they start sweeping, right? That gives Glacial Knights all the information they need to know that, the Baron's on the table. The rest of the team walks in, and that gives Kill the vision that the Maokai needs. And you talk about whose job it is about the Baron, and in steal situations, the person stealing, the only thing they want to do is kill the objective. So the entirety of Catalyst Eclipse leaves the Baron pit. They're like, okay, well, we got to take the fight. They pay zero attention to the Maokai, flash over the wall, auto attack a couple of times, finish off the Baron, get all those extra stats for the team instantaneously, which makes the fight that much easier, that much more viable. And to cap it all off, yes, the carries stayed alive for Catalyst Eclipse, but it's really hard to get to that Ezreal now. Level 16 Ezreal, almost actually does have a fully completed build with the Maw of Malmortius to cap it off against all that magic damage, and it's so devastatingly difficult to kill Ezreal at this point.
Yeah, as they're looking for Ramanichi Raku here, might just be able to get it. Zulsa
Oh, he's
has
gone.
reached the point that you have to respect this damage. Zulska comes out big. They get a pick onto a very important member of Catalyst Eclipse. This dragon is spawning in about 25 seconds here. They might just do it again. They're looking for Jarvan.
Unfortunately, they aren't able to finalize any sort of kill onto J4, but they are also forcing Catalyst Eclipse completely out of this section of the jungle. And at that point, they go up to Soul Point themselves. Like Briar's Biggies, it looks like the call for Catalyst Eclipse is like, okay, we can't be here. We can't look for this. We're not going to look to steal. We're not going to walk forward. Just have to give it up. And honestly, the later this goes, the more and more difficult this is getting for Catalyst Eclipse, because their lead has effectively evaporated. Because at this point, in the game, 3K or 2.8K gold lead is practically nothing.
Yep.
And yes, your Kai'Sa is scary. Yes, your Ahri is scary, but the rest of your team is getting blown up right now.
Yeah. Now, Pastor might be in some trouble. Look at that damage from the Ezreal there. Take a look. Briar's Piggies on the side here. Flag and drags right in, but no space to Cataclysm here. It doesn't look like they want to start a fight just yet. Yeah, this is a very scary place to be. 36 minutes in, and even one team fight that goes south could smell the end of the game. Catalyst Eclipse has gotten close to finishing out this game with a victory and continuing the series, but the pressure is on, and that's gonna do something to your mental.
Yeah, I mean, like you know how big this game is, how important every game is headed forward after game number 2, and like it must be, as you said, so difficult for that mental, because they probably felt like they were on top of the world for a little bit. I think at some point, like, the kill score was like 22-9. Catalyst Eclipse had everything they wanted, but unfortunately for them, Glacial Knights have found their avenue to stall. The Ezreal is fully scaled. Like, obviously there's still 2 more levels, but you're already level 16 as this Ezreal. Now you're just capping off your damage, your full build. It's not really too much to worry about as long as Ezreal stays alive.
Yeah. And I think we've already said this like a million times, but it's just insanely hard to really lock down this Ezreal. Like, you have to commit either a flag and drag or a headbutt pulverize combo on just the Ezreal in order to lock him down. And even then, Arcane Shift is on a really low cooldown. He's been using his flash insanely well. And if you try to use any other CC outside of those knockups, immediate cleanse, right? This Helise has been very hard to find any sort of meaningful CC on, especially with how the red team has been playing it, because the second you decide that, hey, I'm going to dive the Ezreal, you have to go through Swain. And Swain's like, hey, nice to have you. Nice to see you. Thanks for showing up. I think I'm going to drain your life. And then you're going to stay here forever because I have a Rylai's Crystal Scepter. Right? So at this stage, it's really tough. And oh no, that's really big here. Big Spicy has to pop the ultimate. And that's a pretty significant tool used here. Now, it is a minute cooldown. It's a little bit longer than a minute. Still something important to note is blue team loses a turret down to the bot side to some minions.
Yeah, and you can see right there, like just a little bit of damage is also still scary for the Ezreal, right? Like, this Ahri is still a massive threat. The Prey Seekers from Kai'Sa are still a massive threat. But, as long as someone's protecting the Ezreal, it's okay. But to add, like a bit more context to like how annoying this Ezreal is right now, Arcane Shift is on a 6-second cooldown.
Yeah.
And he's able to Q like Arcane or Mystic Shot pretty much every second right now.
Yeah.
So effectively, Arcane Shift is on like a 3-second cooldown at that point.
Yeah.
It's incredibly annoying to play against.
Yes. Ramanichi Raku does have that big Swain ultimate in his pocket right here, so that's something important to note for this next coming team fight. Still, both teams looking for this Baron right here at 40 minutes. This is a very big objective to take. It's a very powerful buff scales with time in game, and it could also smell the end of the game. In 40 minutes, these death timers are incredibly long. These champions are insanely strong. Those turrets are going to fall down like a light breeze hit them or something. So it's going to be very close. It's going to be very calculated how they spend these. So once again, this is do or die moment for Catalyst Eclipse here. They've been ahead all game, but they've slowly started to let Glacial Knights in. And now Glacial Knights do have a powerful position, but it all comes down to this last bit of charm. Flip. He's going to be able to get away, still above half HP here, but going to force the back. We do have a dragon spawning at about 25 seconds. This is soul for both, and this is a Hextech soul, insanely powerful, right? We get attack speed, we get cooldown reduction, and we're getting that AoE electricity as well. It's going to be a huge...
it's true damage slow on it as well. So like, and that's really important for trying to either get away from that Swain and Ezreal, or for trying to chase them down in the right sort of situations. You can see though, that's Eclipse trying to set up for it.
Walking in blind here. Gonna get stunned up, but there's gonna be the Maokai ultimate on the back hide is huge. That's gonna be the golden, but Ramani Shiraku is in the middle of the fight right there. Hasn't popped the ultimate yet. Swain flashes right back in, and Zolska is in the back of the fight, but getting Prestor out of the fight. They're gonna be able to get one back, but it's a near sweep by the Glacial Knights here, and Ari is running with her tail between her legs. Dragon Soul and potentially Baron is for the red team, is for Glacial Knights.
Yeah, I mean, and with that, like these death timers are incredibly long, right? And the amount of damage that's available to the side of Glacial Knights, they're gonna get this Baron. You can see, like, okay, Lion D Kaiser, keep going, keep pushing. We're gonna get the Baron, and it's very, very dicey. Like, yes, Ari does have some degree of damage, but Lion D Kaiser, might end up going down here.
Yeah, this might be all that he spoke for the death spit here, but he's gonna go down. Big shutdown for Ari here, but Ari's full build. More gold doesn't matter here. She's buying potions. You know, she's buying the
elixirs.
The elixirs. She's not really doing anything with that gold. So not really the end of the world. If anything, it's just the 45-second timer and the loss of the Baron buff.
I mean, I do like, there's one thing I do want to point out that I've been monitoring for a while, and I feel like Ramani Chiraku has just been made completely irrelevant in the game after essentially mid-game. Like, you can see still level 15 on this Silas. Everybody else on the enemy team is level 18 already, with the exception of Sicarius, who is also level 15. Like, Silas has been starved. And granted, it's understandable because you want to get Kaisa, you know, as strong as possible. You want to get Ari as strong as possible. But this Silas is effectively a non-issue in a lot of these fights when it was really important in that early game. And now, like, Zolska is actually kind of a threat. We were talking about it earlier, but like, he can actually threaten backline just by ulting in now because he also has grievous wounds. He's still building damage, still scary to those squishies.
Briar's Piggies taking so much damage, below half HP. Helsa looking for maybe a little too much here. Might get caught out. Big spicy looking. There's the headbutt pulverized combo. The Maokai ultimate is to follow up as well. Pop of that ultimate there for Alistar. Can they find it? They're still low, but no one has fallen just yet. They're underneath the turret. Helise is going to be able to find the first here. They're looking for Pastor now as they're not able to quite find it, but the slow is good. The shutdown for Ezreal. He's looking for more. He's going to fall to Kanto Soro as they go invisible to the Duskblade. But that is a big pickup. Once again, 3 for 1 so far. They still have damage on their side. Kanto Soro in some trouble here. Clip looking for it. Lion D Kaiser with the follow-up, but this might be the end of the game. 35 seconds on these death timers. Kanto Soro still alive. Sikra is maybe taking a little bit too much damage here, but can they find it? They need an into this fight. That's going to be the Swain ultimate pop by Silas here. But it doesn't look like they're going to be able to stand it for very long here. Okay, it's still flash, stun, Eye of Vision, gonna get Kanto Soro away. There's a big shield keeping them alive for a little bit longer. Gonna be able to find the 1-for-1, and it's good enough. They're gonna be able to find the inhibitor, but can they find the game here? It's still really tough. 5 seconds left on the Jarvan, 10 on the Ari. If they want to go for it, it's gotta be quick. They have to do it really, really fast. Ooh, they're not going to be able to finish off the game just yet, but that's still a big win for Glacial Knights here. They get 2 turrets, they get an inhibitor, and they get a Nexus turret. That is gigantic off of this Baron buff right now. huge play for them. I can foresee maybe in the next 2.5 minutes, we see the next big fight around this Elder Drake. Huge game-ending buff there. We have to keep our eyes open because this game could be Glacial Knights snatching a win from the jaws of defeat.
Yeah, I mean, like, and we are already seeing like the power, so to speak. Oh,
Andy Kaiser.
I don't think that's too meaningful, but we're seeing the power of that soul, right? Because it didn't look awful for the side of Catalyst Eclipse. They found that, like massive 4-man knockup from Big Spicy, but at the end of the day, all of the like massive AoE that's just been working out so well for Glacial Knights, and it just bolstered by that additional true damage slow from Hex Soul, is devastating to play against. It's so like difficult to move in those team fights now. And then the other part of it is that it's that much easier to catch those carries. Pastor just got clipped by Vision of Empire that allowed Halsey to just arcane shift forward, land Q, get another slow in because you have Cyrilda's Grudge. And it's so impossible to get away from. Rami Chiraku in a ton of trouble.
Yeah. Oh my God, the whole squad. The whole squad is here. That's it's now a 5v4. Briar's Piggies might be in some trouble as well. Sicarus looking for something here for sure. Vision of Empire comes out, a little bit of damage on Akanto Soro. As Real Ultimate as well. Oh my God. Effectively making this a 3v5 now, as Pastor might be in some trouble. But yeah, this push onto this bomb turret is looking real strong.
I mean, this might be the push. Like obviously there's no Silas that's available here, but looks like they're going to play it out slow, play it out controlled, and walk towards that Elder that's spawning in just about 35 seconds here.
Yeah, they might find out the Jarvan here. He is by himself. They are looking for it, but Jarvan is just fast enough to get away from them here. But this Elder Drake, this is going to be a pretty huge fight right here. This is going to be the last fight of the game.
Yeah.
Like, by far and away, this is the last fight of the game right here. 14 seconds, Elder Drake on the timer here. Neither team can give it up because it's going to be the end of the game, right? Either Elder Drake set a game-ending buff, right?
Yep.
They are forced to interact with this. As here we go. Teleport onto the Jarvan flag. They have the Swain ultimate available, Ramani Chiraku.
Like the problem though for Catalyst Eclipse is like they're getting poked a fair bit, but that bot lane's also shoving in with those supers. It's about to reach their base. And you can see like TP is almost a variable for Zulska. Like it's a legitimate possibility, and even then he still has Grand Starfall. It's a legitimate possibility that Pantheon just wants to pressure the base and force Catalyst Eclipse into an impossible situation. That's going to be a double super wave in that bot lane now. Lion D Kaiser is coming back in, and this game is probably just going to end in just about 30 seconds here. Pantheon's walking away, looking for an opportunity potentially.
Silas is backing right now. As Real Ultimate coming across. Here comes the Maokai Ultimate sweeping through right here. They just finished the back, which means they need to spend time. This might be the good time. Big Spicy has popped the ultimate here. Zulsa on the back line here, forcing Kanto Sora to go golden. They've already found one kill onto the Alistar here. That's another kill onto the blue team here, as Briar's Piggies is going to find one in return, but it is only the Rakan. Pastor incredibly low. DOT ticking down, but that's going to be them going down as the Grand Starfall comes through onto the back line here, looking for Ramani Chiraku, looking for Briar's Piggies, as they're not going to be able to find them, as those Piggies have been huffed and puffed, and their houses have been blown down. No turrets left, no inhibitor to defend them, and what an incredible game. A 49-minute slobber knocker back and forth, but in the end, Glacial Knights seized the game from what seemed like an impossible place to win. How incredible way to end this series.
Yeah, absolutely. And like they showed that they could play with a lead, and then they showed that they could play from behind. And I think, so much of this is about Elise staying safe, staying away from a lot of engage. But I also just got to shout out Lion D Kaiser, right? It looked like the Swain was made irrelevant. At one point, the Swain was 1-6. Ends the game 8-8. And a huge part of that is that early buy on Oblivion Orb, just completely neutralizing any sort of presence that Silas had in the mid game and into the late game because Silas can no longer heal even when taking Swain's ultimate. And when you think about like the funneling of resources, I like not to put Ramani Chiraku on blast, but the Silas was not present at all like
Yeah.
after mid game. Like
Mhm.
just kept getting caught, kept like getting blown up, and eventually the Swain, the Maokai, the Rakan, they're able to act as a front line and be disruptive with their CC, force the Kaisa and force the Ari away. And
Mhm.
that gave Elisa's Ezreal so much time to scale up, and you can really see it reflected with that damage there. 67,000 on that
Yeah.
Ezreal. Absolutely massive.
Yeah. Holy moly. This was such an incredibly close game. Like, this was Catalyst Eclipse, very well played for a very long time, but I think you kind of hit the nail on the head here. A lot of what they had in this early game started to slowly fall apart as Glacial Knights got these team fight victories, as they were able to funnel gold into this pantheon, right? Because I think one of the big reasons why I think they were able to get back into this is because lethality is so good against Catalyst Eclipse. If we were to take a look at the items built by Catalyst Eclipse, Silas, Ari, and Kaisa, they had between them 2 armor items. Everything else was raw damage, right? League of damage right now, but that's why lethality is now doubly that much better. Pantheon comes back into this game, has two lethality items and a Cyrilda's Grudge, like you said, and a Black Cleaver. So whatever armor they had built was getting shredded and then was giving him doubly that much more damage, right? Sometimes, even though this Pantheon was taken out for a decent chunk of the game, it didn't seem like Catalyst Eclipse really had that moment to kind of close out the game and finish it in the way that they did because these fights started getting a lot more even.
Hmm.
Glacial Knights started going 2 for 2, 3 for 3, and then 4 for 3 in their favor. And then slowly, after a while, they were able to slow down the pace of the game and capitalize on mistakes from Catalyst Eclipse, who are probably, insane, like probably on super on edge, right?
Yeah.
it it's game 3. They're so close to winning, and they can kind of feel that they're losing control of the game, right? And that's got to do hella things to your mental, right?
Yeah. Like when you can really see it slipping away and slipping through your hands, uh, you feel pressured, you feel nervous
Mm-hmm.
because you are. I think if you're Kyle Eclipse in this game, you were very well aware of how strong you were,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're slowly realizing like, oh well, it's harder to kill Swain. It's harder to kill Ezreal, and all of a sudden, we're like the dragon count is equalized, we're losing fights, or like fights are going even, and we want to talk about scaling. Like the scaling isn't bad for either team, right?
Yeah.
Like Pastor's Ari was there, like incredibly relevant, and you
Mm-hmm.
can see with Kantasoro on the Kaisa as well, still very relevant in terms of damage. But the rest of the team, this Alistair, Silas, J4, they could not equalize to their
Yeah.
counterparts. They could not be that front line or the disruptive CC that their carries needed. Not to say that the players are like playing super poorly, but it just doesn't match up. Like constantly fighting into a Swain ultimate, and like we saw that Big Spicy knew to like bounce Swain back early with headbutt, but after we saw that maybe 1 or 2 times, it kind of just stopped happening.
Yeah.
Even though like not fighting in Swain ult is a really significant part of your team's success.
Yeah.
That being
It
said, though,
was.
Glacial Knights like that's a huge win. Like
Yeah.
very well played throughout the series.
For sure. This was a very well played by them. And one thing to like note, if you like are maybe a player in iron, bronze, silver kind of area and want to take notes, like this is a game that like you can kind of look at and say, how do we play from behind? This is a
Hmm.
really, really good demonstration of Glacial Knights showing they know how to play from behind. They played it very well. So we are going to call it that from the evening. Thank you so much for tuning in. There 2 teams went in trying to claim the crown of the Ishtal bracket, but only one shall move on, and it is Glacial Knights claiming first place in the bracket, and second place is going over to Catalyst Eclipse. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, press that follow button. We've got League of Legends action for you to watch nearly every single week, and we're moving into Season 17 here in Style Esports. We've already played a couple games, and we're excited to show you a new season of Style Esports, some new strategies for League of Legends, and always the same action-packed League of Legends that you have come to expect here at Style Esports. But from myself, the entire live broadcast crew, TruTabagel, my co-caster for this evening, thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next match. Bye-bye.